This guy is an incredibly god-tier player known as the Hero Slayer in the game with the username Hyakan, belonging to the Haumart Guild. To catch Hyakan, other players even had to team up and kidnap his teammates to use as bait. For instance, today, Hyakan's friends were tightly restrained. Just as the executioner was about to swing his blade, he appeared. Jaehyun! One of them shouted his name. Yes, the hero. Slayer's real name is Jaehyun, and when the others saw him appear, they rushed to surround him trying to gank him, but the title of Hero Slayer isn't just for show. Jaehyun swung his sword, each strike so sharp it could consecutively claim a few lives. You think ganking me makes any difference? You don't even have the right to try. He let out a scornful laugh. Jaehyun, we're sorry. It's all our fault. We didn't expect them to ambush us here. His friends who had been used as bait were incredibly distressed. But Jaehyun wasn't the type to be unreasonable. He told them, you don't need to apologize. He reached out a hand to help them up. It wasn't their fault. It was that bunch of pathetic losers. They couldn't beat him head on, so they had to resort to these dirty tactics. Am I right, you bunch of losers? He said it loud enough to provoke their leader, a beautiful woman who even brought a throne to a fight, sitting there looking all relaxed and leisurely. Hearing this, she slowly stood up, a mocking smile appearing on her face. Touching, truly. But what is your friendship worth? I mean, a pile of trash added together is still just a pile of trash. This woman's real name is Chae Seonjeon. Her in-game nickname is Selly, also known as the Thunder Queen from the Thunder Hunter Guild, a very famous player. A loser who got beaten up by trash dares to talk big. Jaehyun let out a sharp laugh. You better watch your mouth, or I'll make you regret it and cry. Jaehyun felt like she was telling a joke because he was so strong that he had never made a mistake before. The word regret didn't exist in his vocabulary. At that point, Jaehyun tapped the watch on his wrist, activating a slot. His equipment and appearance instantly changed. Jaehyun pointed his sword at Seonjeon and declared, regret is a word for the weak like you. Finally, she couldn't stand the disrespect anymore and shouted, you bastard, stop running your mouth, kill him. Huh, again? Didn't you learn anything from a moment ago? You losers will never be able to kill. Jaehyun hadn't even finished his sentence when the remaining words got stuck in his throat, because right now, he had a sword run straight through his chest. It felt like the world was collapsing and Jaehyun stood there like a statue because this attack came from behind, from the very teammates he had just saved. Led by the guy Taehyun, whom he had always considered a brother-in-arms. A series of red warnings appeared in front of Jaehyun, signaling that his HP was dropping rapidly and his movement was restricted. He collapsed while still trying to process what was happening. I'm sorry, Jaehyun, but we've got to make a living, you know. Don't take it personally, Taehyun said with a thick face. This feeling of betrayal was truly impossible to stomach. Jaehyun was struggling like a stray dog, while Seonjeon was incredibly gloating, clutching her stomach and laughing loudly. Then she sneered, oh, how pitiful. I can't believe you actually bought into that friendship act, as if that means anything in the face of money. She laughed until she was tearing up, then quickly took a few steps toward Jaehyun. Hyakan, I am officially banning you from this game. Every time you log in, I will kill you. You won't even be able to play, will you? I heard you're a full-time professional gamer, so without this game, you're just trash. Just complete garbage. How sad. Looks like you have to go back to being trash, right? Whether it was her expression or her laughter, everything was cutting deep into Jaehyun. His fingers trembled as he clawed at the ground. Shut up! Jaehyun suddenly shouted, then used every bit of his remaining strength to lunge at Seonjeon. But before he could even touch her, he was stabbed once again by the people he considered friends. His body was now riddled with wounds. His miserable appearance was a stark contrast to Seonjeon's elegance. Seonjeon looked even more pleased. Jaehyun's body shook violently, blood pouring from his mouth. He stared straight at Taehyun and the others, questioning them, why would you do this? This guild is my everything, just die already. They paid us millions just to finish you off. What else were you expecting? Taehyun's heartless answer left Jaehyun speechless. Millions. It sounded so ironic after everything he had done for these people. Along with all the affection over the years, they even called themselves his family. And in the end, he was sold out for a pile of damn money. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. That was the only thing Jaehyun could think about. He was resentful. He didn't want to give up just like that. He wanted revenge. His HP had hit 0. Before Jaehyun's eyes was a blinding red warning, you have died. The penalty was a 48-hour ban from the game. Jae-hyun woke up in reality, gasping for air in a panic, as if those experiences were, "It's really happening to this body of mine." Jae-hyun clutched his head, feeling a crushing, unbearable sense of despair. Could he really lose everything like this? The game he had been playing, titled War God. It was a game that had taken the world by storm, an AI-driven VR title that was incredibly profitable. It was the only thing that kept people from treating him like trash, and Jae-hyun had shown his talent in it early on. "You're so good," was the phrase he heard constantly from other players, including Tae-hyun. They had met back when they were low-level, quickly became close, and even formed a guild together. That place was what he used to call home. That was why being betrayed made Jae-hyun unable to forgive them. He threw on his jacket and rushed out of the house. Deep down, he thought he had to find them and kill them. How much effort had he poured into reaching that position in the game? And now, just like that, it all went down the drain. It drove him absolutely insane. If he had known it would turn out like this, why the hell did he waste his time caring about those scumbags all this time? The more he thought about it, the more his mind spiraled. As he crossed the street, Jae-hyun didn't notice the truck barreling toward him until it was too late. A horrific accident occurred. Jae-hyun fell into a pool of blood, his phone connection cut off. He felt like his whole life was just a sick joke, treated like trash his whole life, only to end up being hit by a garbage truck. The pain began to consume him, but Jae-hyun didn't want to die just like that. He couldn't forget the look on Tae-hyun's face when he backstabbed him and told him to just go ahead and die. And he couldn't forget the look of utter contempt on Seonjan's face when he succeeded in sabotaging him. He gritted his teeth. He wanted revenge. And so, perhaps even the heavens felt sorry for Jae-hyun and gave him another chance. Just when he thought he was losing his life, a flash of light appeared before him. Then an icon appeared, followed by a notification, initializing user identification. Not long after, Jae-hyun woke up and realized he was inside the game War God. In front of him was a system message, survival tutorial completed, defeat Minato, the master of the labyrinth. Jae-hyun was completely bewildered. Didn't he just get hit by a truck? Why was he in the game now? And what was this tutorial? Hey newbie, snap out of it and pay attention. See the warning. Right, we have to take that thing down together. Suddenly someone shouted. Jae-hyun looked over to see two other players in basic beginner gear. Minato was raging. Its roar was deafening. Players lay defeated all around them. It was clear this monster wasn't something you could beat solo. It takes all three of us to win. Why don't you get up and tank for us already? The guy continued. Jae-hyun felt his ears ringing. He muttered to himself, wondering if this was a dream, because Minato was the tutorial boss. But the main point was it had been removed from the game 5 years ago due to its extreme difficulty. He subconsciously said these words out loud, causing the two players to look at him with judgmental eyes. 5 years ago? What the hell are you talking about? War God only came out 10 months ago, the guy replied. Jae-hyun felt like he'd just been slapped across the face. 10 months. 10 months. What the hell is going on here? Seeing his state, the two players thought Jae-hyun had been scared stupid by Minato. They gave up on trying to get him to fight and decided to take the boss down together. But unexpectedly, right at that moment, Jae-hyun stumbled to his feet, grabbed a sword, and charged toward it. Hey, what are you doing? Have you lost your mind? The two players behind him screamed in horror as they saw his pace quicken, finally breaking into a sprint. Jae-hyun was launching himself at Minato like a bullet. The monster noticed his actions, and its rage flared even higher. Its eyes turned blood red, and its movements became incredibly ferocious. Yet Jae-hyun felt like he'd been pumped full of adrenaline. Without a hint of fear, he fought Minato fiercely all by himself, and then using only that crappy beginner sword, he hacked the boss into 10 pieces. His series of actions was incredibly fluid. Minato only had time to let out one mournful cry before collapsing, its body parts piling up on top of each other. The scene was utterly brutal. The two players from before had clearly seen it with their own eyes, but they couldn't believe it. They asked each other, what the hell just happened? Did he take that thing down in one move? After saying that, the two exchanged a suspicious knowing smile and called Jae-hyun over. Hey, you've got some serious skills, don't you? I don't say this often, but do you want to join our guild? As he spoke, the guy reached out his hand for a handshake. Jae-hyun felt a sense of déjà vu. This gesture was exactly like Tae-hyun's from before. Fury surged within him. Jae-hyun wiped the blood from his face, then calmly replied, I just made a decision. He trailed off, leaving the two men thinking he'd agreed to join their guild. They were over the moon, but then Jae-hyun swung his sword, slashing through them before finishing his thought, that if I ever trust anyone again, I'm a damn fool. His eyes were cold, overflowing with pure hatred. Tuekon, the player known as the Hero Slayer, is back. After logging out, Jaehyun was shocked to find himself somewhere unfamiliar. But realization hit him. He was at a Vega gear shop. Old memories flooded back. Right 5 years ago, he couldn't even afford his own equipment, so he had to play using a display unit. A demo unit here in the store. Now that everything was repeating, Jaehyun couldn't help but be stunned. He had regressed. It was surreal, but if this was his second chance, he couldn't waste a single second. He tossed the game helmet aside and bolted. Weaving through the crowded street, Jaehyun returned with the knowledge of 5 years in the future and every skill he had mastered. He could fix it all. If he used this right, he could get his revenge. He rushed to the front desk and pulled out his credit card. "Give me a standard Vega gear set." The clerk looked a bit startled by his frantic appearance, but she took the card. She quickly processed the payment, and Jaehyun felt like he was on top of the world. It felt too good to be true. He started mapping out his plan for this life, until the clerk stammered, Sir, it says here there aren't enough funds on the card." It was like a bucket of ice water dumped over Jaehyun's head. He froze for a few seconds. The bright future he had just painted in his mind, it all came crashing down, right? If he actually had money, why would he be playing on a demo unit in this place in the first place? His mind spiraled instantly. What was he supposed to do now? If he had to start by earning money, it would take too much time. Just as Jaehyun was at a loss, a familiar voice rang out, "What are you hesitating for? The strongest never fear a challenge. Hesitation is a luxury on the battlefield. Become a god of war. Start your experience now." It was a promotional ad playing on the big screen. The top-ranked player, the Thunder Queen Selly, was starring in it. As soon as he saw her face, his blood began to boil. He remembered the way she looked in his past life and the cruel, biting insults she'd hurled at him. The rage flared up again. Jaehyun realized he wasn't in a position to be picky. He left the shop, but the very next day, a gaming setup was delivered to his house. Jaehyun had set it up. To afford this, he had no choice but to go to a predatory loan shark with a special high-interest deal for gamers. For the God of War game, Jaehyun borrowed 10 million won. The lender agreed happily enough, but before finishing the deal, he slammed a knife down onto the table right between Jaehyun's fingers as a threat. "If you don't pay us back, your life is going to be a living hell." This was Jaehyun's first time dealing with loan sharks, so the threat scared him. But the hatred from his past life was far greater than any fear. He quickly steadied himself, thinking that even if he had to go through hell as long as he could crush those bastards who betrayed him, it was worth it. With the 10 million in hand, he bought the game pod immediately. Once the installer left, Jaehyun logged in instantly. His nickname was the same, Tuekon. It had been so long since he'd been here, it felt nostalgic. If he remembered correctly, that girl should be appearing any second now. Just as the thought crossed his mind, a clear, bright voice echoed, "Congratulations on completing the beginner tutorial." A girl with golden hair appeared. "I am Ariadne, here to guide you in choosing your profession." Right, this was the guide from his past life. He remembered. Then Ariadne presented the 3 basic starting classes. The skills developed in these basic classes would determine the advanced paths later. The 3 choices were Warrior, a frontline fighter, using melee weapons in fierce battles. Great for players who love action. Jaehyun had played this class before, so he'd level up fast. But this time he wanted to fight solo. Thinking about how hard it was for a solo warrior in the late game, he decided to skip it. The next option, Priest. A support class specialized in healing and buffs. Before Ariadne could even finish the pitch, Jaehyun asked to skip it. Because from the start, he had no intention of playing a support role. Why would he waste his time helping someone else? That left Jaehyun with only one choice. After he confirmed his pick, Ariadne said, "Good luck on your journey." The space around Jaehyun began to shift. Along with the notification, the message confirms your successful selection of a base class. As you begin the teleportation to the class tower, Jaehyun spots another NPC, an elderly man with a gentle appearance who greets him, "Welcome, young soul yearning for knowledge. I am Goku, your guide on the path of magic," he says. It turns out he is the mage class NPC. Goku asks Jaehyun what kind of magic he wishes to learn. Without a second thought, he replies, "Dark magic." The atmosphere turns silent for a few seconds. Goku stares at him in disbelief and then clarifies, "Ah, you mean ancient magic, right?" "Pardon me, my hearing isn't what it used to be," the old man says. "No, I said dark magic," Jaehyun reaffirms in a firm, steady tone. Another few seconds of silence pass. Goku's expression turns grim. He asks where Jae-hyun heard of dark magic, warning that while it is powerful, it is also known to consume the soul of its user. Jae-hyun replies calmly, stating he was fully aware of that risk before even arriving here. So, you are truly set on learning dark magic. It seems he is the first player to ever make such a bizarre request. Goku's fingers tremble slightly. Very well. If that is your choice, we can begin at once. He speaks, and then he raises his trembling hands and peels away his gentle, aged skin, revealing a skull with eye sockets glowing in a mystical, eerie purple light. Goku's voice changes from that moment on, sounding far more sinister. He remarks that it has been a long time since he last saw a young person choose this path. If you are truly prepared, then place your hand upon that skill book. Following Goku's words, a book appears before Jae-hyun. Goku tries to warn him one last time that this path is too treacherous for the faint of heart. But Jae-hyun completely ignores the warning, slamming his hand firmly onto the skill book. He demands that Goku begin right away, emphasizing, "Sorry to be blunt, but my heart is far from faint." This attitude seems to excite Goku immensely. He cackles like a madman and says, "Finally, an interesting one has appeared." Jae-hyun's choice was not born of impulsiveness. In his previous life, there was a legendary video featuring a necromancer who single-handedly annihilated a boss during a raid. It served as his inspiration, and right now, that is the exact power he needs. After learning the skill, the system notifies Jae-hyun that he has officially become a necromancer. His current title is Clumsy Necromancer, and his first skill is Bone Fragment. Jae-hyun is eager to test the skill immediately. Under his magical touch, a bone soldier imbued with mana begins to materialize. Watching it slowly form, Jae-hyun feels a surge of hope. This time he will play with everything he has as a necromancer. Once the bone soldier is complete, Jae-hyun joyfully declares, "All right, time to go level up." The training dungeon should be... Before he can finish his sentence, a crisp, cracking sound echoes. Jae-hyun turns around to see the bone soldier's head roll across the floor. It looks at him, and he looks back at it. Silence consumes the space. After a moment, Jae-hyun speaks with difficulty. "Wait, what the hell is going on?" Shortly after Jae-hyun enters the novice training dungeon, he still has some psychological baggage from seeing the bone soldier pick up its own head and reattach it. Because Jae-hyun remembers that the bone soldiers he saw in his previous life were not this fragile. Well, he comforts himself. It's just the beginning, so it's to be expected. He checks his bone fragment skill level. It is currently stuck at rank F, which is why Jae-hyun can only summon one bone soldier. Jae-hyun guesses that the weakness of his soldier must be due to his low proficiency. Since that is the case, he must level up as quickly as possible. Just as he thinks this, his prey arrives 3 training monsters of the coal wolf species. They aren't strong, but they are incredibly fast, perfect targets to test his combat capabilities. Jae-hyun summons his bone soldier once again to fight in his stead. The soldier quickly spots the enemy and moves to attack. Taken aback by its bold stance, the 3 wolves retreat a few steps. "Kill them," Jae-hyun commands. His skeleton warrior follows the order and lunges like an arrow toward the pack. Compared to its clumsy behavior earlier, it looks much better than Jae-hyun imagined. At this rate, he will surely level up in no time. However, reality proves that to be mere wishful thinking because the bone soldier only has the aura of dominance. But when facing the onslaught of 3 wolves, it falls to pieces. This time, not only does its head fall off, but every single joint clatters apart as well. Jae-hyun stares blankly, his jaw dropped. The soldier's head rolls to his feet. Though it lacks eyes, there seems to be a hint of tears in its sockets. It looks incredibly pathetic. A series of question marks appear in Jae-hyun's mind. Wait. Something feels wrong. What on earth is happening here? So Jae-hyun opens the skill panel again. It turns out there was a snippet of information at the bottom he hadn't read yet, specifically that the summoning uses a learning system to improve its combat ability. How you can set the default behavior mode. 1 is defensive, 2 is offensive, and 3 is a special action mode. Jae-hyun pulled at his hair in frustration. It turns out his bone soldier is this useless. "It's because you forgot to set a mode for it," the system replied. So he immediately selected the defensive mode. The bone soldier's eye sockets flickered, but then it just put its hands on its head, ignoring the coal wolves no matter how hard they bit and tore at it. Jae-hyun felt like he'd been doused with buckets of cold water. He couldn't believe a necromancer could be this pathetic. So he switched to the 3rd setting, special action. His bone soldier started dancing enthusiastically according to the system notification. This time it actually didn't just lie there and take a beating. However, when it stood up, it just flailed around wildly without attacking at all. Jae-hyun's hope died instantly. He felt his life was over. How on earth was he supposed to get his revenge with this? He finally understood why Goku kept warning him not to choose this profession. Jae-hyun was in pain, collapsing in despair. This was truly a nightmare for him. He wanted to delete the character, but couldn't because newly created accounts can't delete characters within 3 months. He couldn't delete the account or change his profession. With his loan payments starting next month, Jae-hyun felt like he would rather be hit by a trash truck again than deal with this. Even though he had been reincarnated, nothing was going as smoothly as he'd hoped. Now, the more he looked at that bone soldier, the more annoyed he felt. He found it to be the most useless, ridiculous thing in the world. Please, just stand still. Your dancing is just adding to my stress. Jae-hyun roared, wondering how on earth the necromancer he saw in his past life managed to control these things. But just as he thought of that, a light bulb went off in his head. Jae-hyun recalled the information about the bone separation skill he read earlier, which mentioned that summoning uses a specific system. To improve its combat ability, he remembered how he had to personally destroy the wolves earlier while the bone soldier watched and learned. Right. That was the key to the problem. He had figured it out. Jae-hyun threw a wooden stick into its hand, then stood up himself. You're lucky you have me as your master. I may not look like it, but I used to be called a genius. I even trained my entire guild and turned them into top-tier players, though I'm not sure if you understand me. Even so, Jae-hyun kept instructing it persistently. In battle, you only need to remember one thing. If you don't dodge, you die. As soon as he said that, he threw a punch. In his past life, Jae-hyun had chosen the warrior profession, so he was extremely experienced in hand-to-hand combat. The fragile bone soldier couldn't take a single hit and immediately fell backward. Jae-hyun forced it to stand back up and took another punch, like that over and over again. The bone soldier kept getting knocked away. Don't just sit there like a fool when you're hit, Jae-hyun said, losing patience. Dodge first, then counterattack when you spot an opening, clear. The bone soldier stood up again, 2 hands gripping the wooden stick its master gave it. This time, it wasn't facing Jae-hyun, but 2 other coal wolves. As they rushed in to attack, it actually managed to dodge. Because they missed, the coal wolves accidentally exposed their openings, and his bone soldier quickly seized the chance to counterattack. With just 2 basic strikes, it took down both wolves. Jae-hyun watched from behind and saw the bone soldier turn to look at him, its eyes filled with anticipation, as if waiting for his praise. Where are you looking? I told you don't lose focus in battle. Still, your final move wasn't bad. Even though he was strict, he couldn't hide his satisfaction at seeing it improve. The system sent a new notification stating that the proficiency of the bone separation skill had increased and both Jae-hyun and his bone soldier had leveled up. Leaving the rookie dungeon, he returned to the starter village in Figo City. He was in a great mood because the bone soldier learned so quickly with just a few more days of training, it would be able to conquer dungeons on its own. That's when things would become more urgent. First, he had to reach level 10. Deep in thought about that, a figure rushed past and bumped slightly into Jae-hyun's shoulder, which he didn't even notice, but the other guy took it personally. Ben grabbed him and said loudly, "Hey, you bump into someone, you better know how to apologize." The guy grabbing Jae-hyun's shoulder was a fat, ugly man with a lackey following behind, calling him boss. Looking at them, they were at most B-tier villains. Not even worthy of having names in a novel. Jae-hyun didn't even bother to listen to their trash talk. He didn't have time to deal with such trivial matters. Seeing them like that, he wondered if he should just send them packing to the afterlife right now. You dare to sigh while I'm talking to you? The fat guy, infuriated by his attitude, threw a punch. Under normal circumstances, no one would interfere, and that punch wouldn't have hurt Jae-hyun anyway. But right at that moment, you dare sigh while I'm talking to you. That fat guy, getting annoyed by your attitude, threw a punch. Even without anyone interfering, that punch wouldn't have hurt Jae-hyun at all. But right at that moment, suddenly a tall, burly man stepped in and caught the idiot's fist with ease. Hey, stop going around picking fights like that. The guy pushed his sunglasses up, revealing a pair of piercing, bright eyes, and sneered at the big lug. Who the hell are you? Are you with this loser or something? The guy kept on ranting, but Jae-hyun just stared at the new arrival, feeling like he recognized him, that muscular build. Those strange clothes, like he's on a Hawaiian vacation. There was no doubt about it, he was Matador Chi. In his past life, Matador was a legendary top-ranked warrior. Jae-hyun never imagined he'd run into him here. He didn't know why he was here either, and he'd planned to talk to him privately, but that clueless jerk just then rudely spat on the ground. He pointed a finger right in Matador's face and threatened the old man. If you don't know what's good for you, get lost. You little brat! You hit me first, remember? Never heard of an eye for an eye, huh? Ha, so that's how it is, huh? Matador scratched his head and gave a goofy laugh. But the very next second, he released such a terrifying blast of power that even Jaehyun nearly lost his footing, let alone that B-rank villain. Then Matador followed up. Well, since you just punched my palm, I guess I can punch you back, right? His attitude had shifted completely from a moment ago. It was incredibly intimidating. The big guy started to panic, but the one who really knew the score was his henchman, because right then, that kid realized the person in front of them was the assassin Matador Chi, leader of the Red Bull Gang, one of the top 30 guilds known as the Ruthless Butcher. What the fuck? Why is someone like him here? The big guy couldn't believe his ears and asked his lackey again. But before the kid could answer, Matador grabbed his shoulder and asked, "So what's your answer?" Having just felt the surging murderous aura coming from this man, and after being enlightened about who he really was, the big guy didn't dare act tough anymore. He immediately apologized and bolted for the exit, watching the guy's reaction. Matador just laughed out loud. "Ha ha ha, I'm glad. We could solve this peacefully." He was probably the only one who thought this was a peaceful method. Everyone around them was scared pale. Once it was over, Matador patted Jaehyun on the shoulder to comfort him. "Are you okay? Don't worry about thugs like that. And another thing." Before he could even finish, Jaehyun coldly pushed his hand away and walked off. He even told Matador that he didn't need to help him like that next time. Jaehyun's attitude was a bit harsh toward someone who had helped him, and Matador seemed stumped, having never encountered someone so cold before. After walking a few steps, Jaehyun started to speed up, almost running through the crowd. He shoved his hands into his pockets to hide the fact that he was trembling uncontrollably. For that one split second, Jaehyun had been completely overwhelmed by Matador's strength, and it left him feeling bitter. He made a vow the next time he met him he wouldn't be the same weak person he was today. The difference in power between them was clear as day. Yet that woman Sally and Matador were on equal footing. That meant if he wanted revenge, Jaehyun needed to be at least as strong as them. This drove him to hit the dungeons even harder. By now, Jaehyun's bone soldier could handle everything on its own, so his only job was to just sit there and stare blankly. Just now it had taken down a charcoal tiger, helping its master level up, but Jaehyun felt no joy at all. He wasn't even in the mood to praise it because it had taken him 3 whole days to reach level 10, much longer than he expected. Seeing his master wasn't excited at all. The bone soldier's mood slumped as well. Now that there were no more monsters in the training dungeon, it meant Jaehyun had passed the newbie stage. Finally, a battle eye appeared on his wrist. It was an essential gaming device with features like stats, quests, inventory, and messages. You only get this after the newbie title is removed. This thing. It's been so long since I've worn one of these. Jaehyun felt a bit of excitement. He checked his current status. His character Akan had just reached level 10. His strength and stamina were both 3 points. Intelligence and magic were 5 points. He felt a bit of regret seeing his stats had been reset. However, because he had been farming monsters non-stop, he now had 50 free stat points waiting to be distributed in his inventory. This was the first time Jaehyun was allocating stats. It would have a huge impact on his future path, so he needed to be extra careful. As a necromancer, the obvious choice would be to boost intelligence or magic stats, but successful people always choose their own path, so Jaehyun put all 50 points into his strength stat. As his strength surged, Jaehyun immediately felt a rush of energy through his body, and even his joints felt reinforced and stronger. The skeletal soldier looked at its master like that. For some reason, its expression looked a bit unusual. It let out a shriek and then covered its face with a sigh. "What's your problem?" "I'm not giving up the necromancer class, understand you, dummy?" Jaehyun explained while giving it a flick to the forehead. "I'm doing this to teach you." Indeed, that was the case. Boosting intelligence or magic right now wouldn't change much, but by investing in strength, Jaehyun could teach the skeletal soldier every combat technique he had mastered, back when he was at his peak. In other words, he was literally betting his life on whether or not it could learn those things. Upon hearing its master say that, the skeletal soldier's attitude changed. This time it covered its mouth and its eye sockets glimmered with tears, appearing very touched. After all, he just wanted it to focus on training. As for the rest, he would handle it. And besides, Jaehyun still had another way to make up for those stats. So after leaving the training dungeon, he headed straight to the Monster Hunter Association Bima Castle branch. Here adventurers were scrambling over a newly posted quest. Jaehyun walked past them, giving them an indifferent look, and thought to himself, "These kinds of quests are boring every year, yet these guys are fighting over them like that. They must be total noobs." He went straight to the counter and asked the person in charge, Hutan, to show him the quest list. Help yourself. But all that remained were quests that no one bothered to look at. Either they were too difficult or the rewards were pathetic. You've got guts, kid, he replied. Jaehyun scanned through them. It was true that most of the quests here were dull, but with his experience from his past life, he knew exactly what his trump card was and quickly found it. The quest destination was the Bima Mountain Cave. The objective was to hunt monsters near the mountain, and the reward was only 10 gold coins. It was a basic hunting quest for low-level monsters, but it held a hidden secret. Hutan saw Jaehyun choosing such a low-reward quest and couldn't help but ask, "Are you sure you want to take that one?" "I'm warning you, the reward is only 10 gold coins." "Yes," Jaehyun confirmed. The system quickly updated the quest for him. Seeing that notification, Jaehyun's mouth curled into a smirk. On the surface, this was just a child's play quest, but if he completed it before level 15, he could receive an extremely rare title. It was called Rising Star. You ask what's so great about the title, the answer is definitely yes, because it grants players bonus stats, and that Rising Star title is even more insane, because it increases stats by a percentage. In other words, this was the first step for Jaehyun to become a broken game hacking force. Leaving the Monster Hunter Association, Jaehyun immediately thought about buying gear before setting off for Bima Mountain. Arriving there, he secretly felt lucky that no one else was lurking in this area, because Jaehyun's gear set was truly disgusting. Naturally, he was also deeply self-conscious about his appearance, but his finances had all been poured into gear for the skeletal soldier. By then, he couldn't afford anything else and just had to grab what he could. The result was becoming a total weirdo like this. Jaehyun gritted his teeth. "Fine, for the sake of the grand ideal of revenge, I'll just have to endure it. After I finish this quest, I'll go buy decent clothes. The fastest clear ever, here I come," Jaehyun shouted, and then marched decisively forward. He didn't know that in the bushes not far away, a blood-stained hand had just reached out, followed by a face covered in blood, along with a faint, weak voice. "Help! Someone please help me!" The owner of that voice was quickly dragged back into the bushes again, and the person doing it wasn't a monster, but rather another group of players. However, Jaehyun was not the only one heading to Bima Mountain. Shortly after, another young man appeared. His appearance was even more imposing than his. He crossed his arms and laughed loudly. "Finally, at Bima Mountain, the great adventure of the superhuman Modi begins. Let's see what the monsters are like here. Geez, I'm pretty talented at this game. What should I do if I become a ranker in record time?" Modi was extremely arrogant, because he had already reached level 11. Just that achievement alone was enough for him to dream of a far-off future. However, Modi's narcissistic skit was quickly cut short by a desperate cry for help. "Someone help, please, my friend is injured." Being naturally kind-hearted, as soon as he heard someone calling for help, Moti ran straight toward them. The person calling for help said that a monster had suddenly appeared and attacked them. Although they had escaped by the skin of their teeth, someone was seriously injured, and they no longer had any healing potions. Hearing this, Moti remembered he had healing potions in his inventory, so he opened his tactical display, preparing to take out the medicine to give to them. The guy who was just calling for help saw this and wiped his tears. "Thank you. Thank you so much, we really owe you a lot." His crocodile tears made Moti even more flustered. He had no idea that while he was focusing on the tactical display, a big guy had appeared from behind, preparing to swing the spiked mace in his hand down onto his head. Wham! With one sound, Moti was immediately knocked down into a pool of blood. Only then did the silver-haired guy dry his tears, put on a wicked smile, and say, "Thanks again. We'll definitely put your stuff to good use." Moti finally realized he had been tricked. He trembled all over, no longer having the strength, and could only grit his teeth and say, "You evil scumbags! Oh, come on, are you really planning to blame us? You're the one who walked right into the trap." The opponent kept that smug punch-me-in-the-face grin on his face. Then they dealt Moti another blow, and he logged out on the spot. Moti had completely faded away, leaving only a fallen battle emblem behind while those scumbags gloated. They told each other, "Beating up these idiots is just too easy. Did you see the look on his face? Scumbags, ha ha ha, all right, you guys go find the next chicken." They looked like they had plenty of experience with this kind of thing. That's because they were the Ralph family, a notorious gang of murderers and thieves who specialized in faking injuries to exploit the kindness of good people before stripping them of all their gear. Meanwhile, deep in the Bima Mountains, Jaehyun's skeleton soldier was squaring off against a few wolves under his close supervision after all that training in the beginner dungeon. It was starting to look a lot more reliable now. Jaehyun was also getting much better at controlling the skeleton soldier. The two of them worked in perfect sync, so farming monsters was a breeze. Jaehyun had simply bought the skeleton a sword, and now it could take on a whole pack of ancient wild wolves by itself. Only then did he feel that the weird costume on his own body was somewhat worth it. Prioritizing gear for his summon was definitely the right call. A true gamer has to prioritize stats anyway. That was the only way Jaehyun could comfort himself regarding his own appearance. That thing he was wearing was about to drive him absolutely insane. Seeing Jaehyun staring at him with that kind of look, the skeleton soldier felt its master was truly pathetic. It had intended to put on a show of a master and servant sacrificing themselves for each other, but Jaehyun quickly snapped, "Whatever, if you're done here, let's go. We have to level up fast so I can get out of this miserable outfit." He bolted and the skeleton soldier immediately followed. But after only 2 steps it was suddenly hit by an arrow that came out of nowhere. Jaehyun immediately stopped in his tracks as the Ralph family appeared right behind him. Leading them was the same silver-haired guy with that masterful acting earlier. He scratched his head, looking embarrassed. "Oh, sorry, I saw you from a distance and thought you were a monster. I'm so sorry." "No, it's okay," Jaehyun replied. But with his sharp mind, he realized something was off with these people. Specifically, they all had signs of a struggle and bloodstains on them. So Jaehyun immediately added, "It's fine, but since you attacked first, I'd really appreciate it if you had any mana potions." "Oh, wait. We don't have any potions either. How about we help you level up instead? Since your mana will automatically recover when you level up," the opponent replied. Jaehyun just went along with them, and right on cue, a pack of monsters appeared. The Ralph family said they would take the task of weakening the monsters and let Jaehyun land the finishing blows to soak up all the experience, claiming it was their way of making it up to him. But this bunch, of course, had their own plan. They had discussed it thoroughly beforehand. First, they would lure the monsters with everything they had, then accidentally let one slip through toward Jaehyun. Since he looked like such a noob, he'd surely panic when faced with the situation, and that would be their chance to strike. But life doesn't always go as planned. Even though Jaehyun looked like a total rookie in their plan, he was executed perfectly when that ancient wolf lunged his skeleton soldier, took it down with a single swing. Jaehyun even gave them a thumbs up, looking excited. He said, "Nice one, keep going." They didn't think his summoned creature would be that strong. Assuming Jaehyun was a higher level than they'd thought, the Ralph family didn't dare act recklessly. This time, they decided to go big by letting a whole pack of monsters through, instead of just one. And while Jaehyun was distracted, the guy with the mace would approach from behind to finish him off. The plan sounded much more vicious and meticulous, but they had miscalculated again. That guy missed. Or, to be more precise, Jaehyun dodged it perfectly. With his experience from his past life as a warrior-class player, if he couldn't even dodge that attack, he wouldn't be worth a dime. After the miss, the prey left a fatal opening. Jaehyun immediately seized the chance and struck him down with his blade. That idiot fell immediately. Jaehyun snapped his fingers, signaling his skeleton soldier to shift its attack, and he charged with it toward the remaining two. Seeing things spiraling out of control, they panicked and begged to talk things out, but Jaehyun's answer was 2 swift, decisive slashes. That left them with only a sliver of health. I know scum like you all too well, the type to gain someone's trust just to stab them in the back and rob them clean. The old me definitely would have fallen for it. As he spoke, he stepped right in front of the two of them. The silver-haired guy was so terrified he couldn't even speak clearly anymore. He offered to hand over all his gear just to beg Jaehyun to spare his life. But his luck was terrible. He'd run into a guy who had completely lost faith in humanity. His sword came down and Ralph died instantly. After he dropped, 8 unclaimed battle emblems fell out. 8 at once, that's a bit excessive. Jaehyun knew they were scammers, but he never expected them to have swindled so many people. If that's the case, you should definitely make good use of those collected war tokens, right? First things first, he needed to find some better-looking clothes. As Jaehyun turned back, he saw his skeleton soldier stomping repeatedly on the corpse of the player who had held the tokens. It seemed the skeleton was just as outraged by their inhumane actions. Jaehyun was genuinely speechless. His summoned creature had actually picked up his own hostility toward humanity. To soothe the skeleton, Jaehyun asked, "Hey, bonehead, is there anything you want me to get you?" After taking out the player hunters, Jaehyun spent some time fixing the crack on his skeleton's head. After a while, the fracture on the skull finally healed. Once the skeleton's form was restored to looking brand new, it proudly raised its sword high in the air and cheered, "Done." Afterward, Jaehyun found it a new outfit. The skeleton acted all shy while touching its new scarf, humming to itself. Jaehyun, seeing this, asked, "You like it that much, huh? Appearance doesn't matter when you're my subordinate. What matters is your heart." Jaehyun was singing and skipping around in his new outfit, the one he just got. After finishing off the professional player hunters, Jaehyun gave a sinister laugh and continued, "Just keep following me and one day you'll be showered in glory. Now let's see what we've earned." After collecting the watches from the players who had been killed by those thugs, he realized that by selling other players' war tokens, a random item from their storage would drop. Just like that, Jaehyun could choose the items he wanted. Right now he was wearing rare black goblin pants, adding 5 to mana and 5 to intelligence. He had also equipped himself with a sword. Strapped to his back was a sword with the scent of an ancient tree, a rare item with 10 mana. He also had a cursed demon skill book, a tome pulsing with mana, featuring a wide-open eye on the cover. And more money! Jaehyun cheered as he received the gold coins. Now that's a jackpot. Thanks to this money-making method, I was able to do this. As soon as he finished speaking, an item appeared in his hand. It was a mask. Looking at the mask in his hand, Jaehyun muttered, "Faster than I expected. I'll record my gameplay from now on and build a good reputation for my main goal." The moment he finished his sentence, a memory flashed in his mind, the same words he had spoken in his past life. "I told you. Building a good reputation is important." Remembering those words, Jaehyun's expression darkened. He recalled his past life sitting with the very person who had heartlessly betrayed him. Back then, Jaehyun had said, "Everyone in the guild should wear a mask, ha-ha. That'll make us famous." After thinking for a while, that person had agreed with him. "All right, sounds good. Then let's name our guild Mask Haha." Back then, he had been so happy. Looking at the mask in his hand now, Jaehyun felt a twinge of sadness and thought he had even considered creating a new identity. However, he didn't want others stealing his gear anymore. Thinking this, Jaehyun channeled his power to change the shape of the mask in his hand into a new design. Thinking of that, he gritted his teeth in anger, thinking he would use this to prove I was right. Jaehyun put on the mask and said, "Let's go, Bonehead." Scene change. Somewhere else. Surrounded by high rocky mountains, 2 figures could be seen standing in the distance. It was Jaehyun and his skeleton soldier. The two stepped through a portal and the system immediately announced, "You have entered the Bima Mountain dungeon." Jaehyun headed inside. He moved carefully, observing his surroundings, thinking to himself that he expected werewolves to appear in this dungeon. It wasn't an easy dungeon, but now that he had good items, it should be much easier. He was aiming for a 10-minute clear. Jaehyun immediately surged forward and shouted to his skeleton, "Let's go!" Scene change. A few hours later, the skeleton soldier tilted its head in confusion, pointing a finger. Jaehyun, equally frustrated, sighed and said, "Why? The cave was a dead end." Jaehyun held his sword helplessly, shouting, "Why aren't there any monsters here?" Jaehyun clutched his head and groaned, "This is insane. There should have been a notification if someone else had already cleared this dungeon, right? Is something bugged?" On the other side, the skeleton didn't give up and continued to dig at the ground with its sword. Seeing this, Jaehyun asked, his voice full of irritation, "What the hell are you doing?" Right at that moment, Jaehyun seemed to realize something. He turned around to look. Wait. On the dirt wall, a mana-infused vortex was appearing. Jaehyun reached out to touch it and said, "Let's see." As he placed his hand on it, the layer of dirt collapsed, revealing a massive portal. The system immediately sent a notification to Jaehyun. "You have discovered an instant dungeon. The stage. Would you like to enter?" Jaehyun was slightly surprised. He sat down on the ground, let out a sigh of relief, and said, "No wonder there were no monsters. Instant dungeons are random events that pop up in regular dungeons. When they appear, the normal dungeon activities freeze until this special dungeon is cleared. They're tougher than regular dungeons, but the rewards are better too. The catch is you either clear the dungeon, or you die in there." Thinking about this, Jaehyun's eyes grew steady. He stood up, dusted off his clothes, and turned to his bone soldier, saying, "Honestly, I think we should just give up. If I die here, I won't be able to play for 2 days. It'd be smarter to quit and take on another quest." But suddenly, Jaehyun turned back toward the dungeon portal. Just then, a system notification popped up. "You have entered the arena." It turns out he had already grabbed the bone soldier and pulled it through the portal, saying, "We just need to clear it, that's all." As soon as they stepped through, a blinding light hit Jaehyun's face, forcing him to shield his eyes. They were standing in an arena. It was abandoned and falling into ruin. Jaehyun scanned the area, narrowed his eyes, and muttered, "An arena, huh? That's a little creepy. Wonder what's going to pop out." No sooner had he finished speaking Then the ground began to shake, accompanied by deep roars. Startled Jae-hyun gasped, "What the—" Right at that moment, a massive three-eyed mutated wolf appeared before them. It stared down at the two, growling incessantly, while drool dripped onto the floor. Standing before them was a fallen werewolf. Its level was hidden. It opened its jaws, revealing razor-sharp teeth, and let out a deafening roar. The wolf raised a jagged claw toward Jae-hyun. Terrified, he scrambled back, exclaiming, "A fallen! What is it doing in a place like this?" Before he could finish, the wolf swiped its claws, leaving Jae-hyun no time to block. He was sent flying, crashing into a stone wall, and let out a sharp cry of pain. The bone soldier turned around to see only a cloud of dust. It immediately shifted into a defensive stance, gripping its sword tight. Jae-hyun, meanwhile, suddenly let out a cold grunt. He smirked, struggling to peel himself off the wall. The bone soldier looked back as Jae-hyun said, "Man, why am I so lucky today? Fallen monsters from the main quest line. Bone soldier, if we don't kill this thing, there's no dinner tonight." His eyes suddenly turned cold and fierce. He drew his sword and charged straight at the wolf. The bone soldier saw this. It understood immediately, moving in sync. It held out its sword to act as a stepping stone, launching Jae-hyun high into the air toward the wolf. Seeing him coming, the wolf flicked its long, grotesque tongue out and roared, mouth wide open. Jae-hyun shouted, "Cast curse!" A stream of dark energy surged over his hand. He channeled that dark magic to coat his blade and said excitedly, "Demon's curse!" The wolf immediately shifted into battle mode. Its entire body was engulfed in a surge of power. The moment it stood up on its hind legs, Jae-hyun slashed off one of its arms. Pain shot through it instantly. The wolf screamed in agony. The system notification flashed, "Skill activated Demon's Curse. Target's stats reduced by 10%. The wolf clutched its severed arm. Jae-hyun landed, looking at his sword, and said, "Demon's Curse. Not bad for a first try." The wolf was enraged now. It kept growling, then lunged viciously at Jae-hyun, intent on devouring him. The system pinged him again. "Fallen werewolf has entered a frenzied state. All negative status effects have been nullified." Seeing this, Jae-hyun sheathed his sword, grinned, and said, "I guess it wouldn't be an instant dungeon if it were actually easy. I was planning to save this for later, but I guess I have to use it now." He laughed wickedly and pressed the watch on his wrist, saying, "Activate." Power surged forth, a dark blue aura. This energy began to coalesce into a sphere. Once it formed, it pulsed with light from the center. Jae-hyun stepped out from within the sphere. He was decked out in formidable armor and declared, "All right, let's get to work. Activate one of the God of War's unique traits. When a player uses Activate, they are temporarily empowered by the world of the God of War, granting them an enhanced form. This form varies wildly from player to player. It always changes, but it generally boosts strength. That's why many people call it." Jae-hyun had finished transforming. He was clad in armor, and a glowing aura surrounded him like a raging flame. In-game people called this Supreme Combat Mode. Jae-hyun waved at the giant werewolf and taunted, "Come on then." Provoked, the wolf roared, saliva spraying everywhere. They clashed head-on, Jae-hyun wielding a flaming blue sword. The wolf charged him. Jae-hyun dodged effortlessly, moving to a new position as the wolf relentlessly swiped its sharp claws at him. But he dodged every single one with ease. Enraged, the wolf slammed both hands into the ground, shattering it. Jae-hyun leaped into the air and landed safely on his feet. The wolf threw a punch, but Jae-hyun vaulted over it, debris flying everywhere. Jae-hyun backed away, observing the crazed wolf. He thought to himself, as expected of a boss-level monster, its speed and strength are intense. What happens if it drops down to all fours? Even if it only has 3 legs, that could still be the end of you. While Jae-hyun was lost in thought, the werewolf suddenly lunged with its claws, trying to grab him. Jae-hyun just smirked. He thought to himself. But right as the werewolf was about to pin him down, Jae-hyun leaped into the air and slashed his sword into the werewolf's flank. It let out a pained howl as blood sprayed from the wound. Jae-hyun landed smoothly, gave a faint smile, and said, "That's why this is more fun, isn't it?" Before he could even finish, he suddenly lost his footing and cried out. The werewolf, furious, slammed its attack into the ground, causing the earth to shake. Jae-hyun was thrown into the air by the momentum. He just lifted a hand to his face, laughing it off, and muttered, "Yeah, right. This is the point where I'm fully immersed in the battle. It's not often I get to feel the thrill of a fight like this." But his expression shifted slightly. He deepened his voice and said sternly, "Hey, you didn't forget something, did you?" Instantly, the bone soldier appeared from out of nowhere above them, catching the werewolf off guard. The bone soldier swung its blade and cleanly severed one of the werewolf's arms. Jaehyun turned to the bone soldier and shouted, "Bone soldier, do it just like we practiced!" Hearing this, the bone soldier nodded immediately. Within minutes, the werewolf, having lost an arm and still in shock, was stuck in place. Jaehyun and the bone soldier seized the opportunity and dashed behind it. The two coordinated perfectly, landing countless strikes on the werewolf. A second later, the werewolf's body was sliced to pieces and blood sprayed from every cut. The system immediately flashed, "You have hunted the werewolf. Experience significantly increased." Seeing he had grown stronger after defeating the werewolf, Jaehyun happily said, "Not bad." Just then, a brilliant golden card appeared, spinning countless times before stopping to display Bima Mountain Range. Subjugate the monsters around Bima Mountain. Reward 10 gold. The system also sent a notification to the bone soldier, leaving it a bit bewildered. The bone soldier had also defeated a powerful monster. The bone soldier's fragment skills have increased to level E. The system sent several consecutive notifications to Jaehyun. You have earned 20,865 G. You have received the werewolf skull. You have received the werewolf's hideout. After seeing the notification, Jaehyun happily put his hands on his hips and told the bone soldier, "These temporary spoils are truly great." Just when he thought it was over, the system sent another notification. You have received the Necklace of the Fallen Tracker. Necklace of the Fallen Tracker. Unique grade. Increases level-related stats. All stats plus 18. Cannot be traded. Item bound. Equipment requirement Fallen Tracker title. After reading the details of the necklace, Jaehyun frowned slightly and muttered aloud, "Unique grade. Even though it can't be traded, that's a tier above a normal unique item." Suddenly his expression changed, looking disbelieving. He thought to himself, "Wait, Fallen Tracker. Could it be?" Before he could think further, the system displayed 3 new titles. Novice with Potential Intelligence, plus 3% magic, plus 3%. Jaehyun was a bit surprised and couldn't believe it. He said, "Novice with Potential. That's the second title I was planning to get." The next one he received was Hero's Challenger Strength, plus 3. Seeing that, Jaehyun put his hand to his chin, thoughtful, and said, "So hero titles are present here too, huh? Well, I did clear the dungeon by myself, so that makes sense." When the third title appeared, Jaehyun couldn't believe his eyes. It was Fallen Tracker. He immediately exclaimed, "Fallen Tracker. That's the first title from the first chapter of the main quest, The Fallen Count." Inside Jaehyun's mind, he was thinking, the main quest is the main storyline. It forms the foundation of this game. Since the rewards are so extraordinary, every player wants to participate in this quest somehow. In his previous life, he couldn't even reach Chapter 4. Thinking of that, Jaehyun lowered his head, shivering slightly, and said, "And now I've unlocked this. This isn't just luck anymore." He suddenly lifted his head, feeling immensely joyful, thinking he had hit the jackpot. Instantly, Jaehyun cheered in joy. Scene shift. Outside in the real world, it was still daytime. In front of a building, on a news ticker, a live broadcast was playing. A character in the game was holding a mic and announcing, "The Hydra Guild has officially started the final chapter of the Fallen Count scenario. Our goal is to complete it within 3 months." Just as this character said that, the computer mouse clicked the pause button. A man was sitting silently in front of the computer screen, holding a glass of water. It was Jaehyun. After watching this announcement, his eyes welled up with tears, wanting to cry but couldn't. He thought, "Hit the jackpot, my foot. Why am I so unlucky?" "Jun." Suddenly he slammed his head onto the desk and shouted, "Someone has already reached the final chapter of the Fallen Count. If I jump in now, I won't get anything at all. Damn it, what a waste." He lay slumped on this table, feeling despondent, then muttered to himself, asking if he should just drop this quest and aim for the next one. But then he suddenly thought of something. His eyes widened, thinking, "Wait, perhaps this is an opportunity for me." Jaehyun immediately regained his spirit, sat up, and started using the mouse to manipulate something on the computer. As he moved the mouse, he hesitated in his thoughts. Right now, the whole world is focused on the Fallen Count with extreme enthusiasm. It's the first main quest of the game, and it's about to be completed, and it's almost complete. What would happen if a video about the Fallen Count was broadcast right now? Jaehyun stared at the recorded gameplay footage displayed on his computer screen. His eyes lit up instantly, thinking to himself that the view count was about to go through the roof. Jaehyun muttered to himself while typing away at his keyboard, "It's a good thing I recorded the whole run. I've got to edit this and get it up on YouTube fast." In his mind, editing was the most crucial part. It had to be perfect, and he couldn't trust anyone else with it. With that thought, Jae-hyun smirked and said, "In that case, I guess I know who I need." He was thinking of the person he considered a legendary video editing genius from his past life. Scene shift. In front of a glowing computer monitor, a messy desk was littered with empty food wrappers and containers. Suddenly, a phone tucked among the trash lit up. A notification popped up. A girl sitting at the desk took a bite of noodles with one hand while grabbing the phone with the other. The contact read, "Romani Filmmaker." She tapped the message, opening it to see a request to edit a video, Dungeon Sweep 2, A-Rank Level 15. After reading, Romani let out a mocking laugh. A Level 15 scrub? What kind of dungeon sweep could a guy like that possibly put together? Probably just another rich newbie trying to flex on social media. Before she could finish her sentence, she froze, eyes widening at what she saw on the screen. She jumped up from her chair, her voice trembling slightly. "I found him." She looked genuinely thrilled, her eyes gleaming as she whispered, "My muse." Romani, the freelance video editor known as Foulmouth. Scene shift. The city at night. Skyscrapers were lit up against the dark sky. Inside a luxury apartment, a woman stood with her back turned, looking out through the glass at the city lights while holding a tablet. She called for her assistant, who rushed in immediately. He spoke up. "You called for me, ma'am." The black-haired woman said to her assistant, "A video involving the fallen count has been uploaded. It's quite interesting, a level 15 taking down a werewolf all on his own." "Fallen," she muttered, handing the tablet to her assistant. He took it, glanced at the screen, and stammered, "That video." He pushed his glasses up, regaining his composure, and said confidently, "My team already checked it out. The level of that fallen werewolf was low, so it's not worth our attention." Before he could finish, the woman's cold voice cut him off. "I like it. I want that person." She rested her chin on her hand, a faint smile playing on her lips, and said, "Bring him to me." This woman was Seo Celine, the #1 mogul in the dungeon business. In the game Warlord, her nickname was the Lightning Queen, the very person who had hired someone to kill Jae-hyun in his past life. Scene shift. Jae-hyun just took off his VR headset and picked up his phone. His expression was one of surprise as he looked at his dungeon clear video and said, "I only uploaded this yesterday, but it's already got so many views." His video was titled Warlord, the Perfect Fallen Werewolf Hunt. It had already hit 6,000 views. "Ha ha!" The comments section was blowing up. "The moves are insane." Jae-hyun stared at the view count on the screen and muttered, 6,000 views already. "In my last life, it would have taken months to get this many hits." Just as he said that, his phone pinged with another notification. Jae-hyun opened the message. It was from Romani. "Romani, have you checked the views yet?" Romani had contacted him first. He felt a bit confused, thinking, usually she never reaches out to anyone. She keeps herself completely mysterious. Not thinking too much about it, he replied to her. Romani immediately sent back a laughing emoji with the message, "Crazy right, that's my talent at work." Of course it helped that you provided such top-tier footage. She also sent a rose sticker. Seeing that Jae-hyun thought, "I really want to block this person. Is this person some kind of game addict?" Just when he thought the conversation was over, Romani sent another text. "By the way, when are you sending me the next video?" Jae-hyun leaned back into the simulation pod and thought, "I'm wondering the same thing. I have no idea what to do next. It's impossible to find monsters like the fallen werewolf again, so waiting until level 50 to make a new video seems like the only logical choice." He thought to himself, but what could he do? Jae-hyun reached out and hit the start button on the pod. A notification chimed and the system displayed connecting. Jae-hyun's mind was still racing. "I have to take advantage of this momentum and move up." With that, he smiled with determination and said, "Connect." Scene shift. Somewhere else. Someone else was watching Jae-hyun's dungeon clear video. This person was watching on their phone and mumbling, "A rank masked howl. His moves are peak. I could watch this all day." The person watching Jae-hyun was Matador. He was still wearing his heavy armor, sitting on the floor in the hallway. While watching, Matador touched his chin, looking thoughtful, and said, "He looks kind of familiar. Where have I seen him before? Who is that guy?" Just then, footsteps echoed down the hallway. Matador looked up and saw a red-haired girl calling out, "Ree!" This red-haired person was Ree, a member of the Red Bull Guild. Matador stood up and said, "I was talking about A-rank masked howl. He's been pretty famous lately." Ree didn't look too happy upon hearing this, replying, "Him again. If you watch him so much, of course he's going to start looking familiar." Hearing that, Matador just laughed it off, admitting she was right, but then his voice suddenly dropped. He looked up, his demeanor shifting to something more excited. He went on to say that this game feels so much like real life that newcomers are usually hesitant, but he's not like that at all. And the way he trains his summoned beasts is on a completely different level than other necromancers. He wondered what it would feel like to fight him, though he doubted the kid would ever agree to a duel. Hearing Matador ramble on, Ree seemed annoyed and cut him off. That's enough. She snatched the phone out of his hand and shoved him forward, saying, "Stop babbling and get back in there. We're live in 5 minutes." As he was being pushed away, Matador grumbled, "So soon." Suddenly he pointed at Ray and gave her a wink. "You know I love you, don't you?" Ree just crossed her arms, completely unfazed. She replied, "If that's really true, then make sure you do a great job on today's live stream." Over 200,000 people had bought tickets for the live arena, and the crowd was already cheering wildly as Matador walked up. Watch as Matador climbs the stairs. Someone announced the leader of the Red Bull Guild, the Rank 9 Warlord Matador. 2 long lines formed on either side. People in armor stood waiting. The announcer spoke up again. "The dungeon gate is appearing now." A purple teleportation portal materialized in front of him. Matador slowly stepped inside. The system began the countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2. His teammates followed closely behind him as they entered together. Just as the countdown hit 0, Matador suddenly called out to everyone. Matador held his sword straight out, signaling for the others to get ready for battle. Scene change inside the game at the Hunter Association branch. It was daytime in Fia Castle. The main street was bustling with people, and inside a house, Jaehyun stood there, dumbfounded, his face frozen. There are no quests." He slumped over his hands, slamming onto the table in frustration. The loud bang annoyed the people passing by. After flipping through all the quest cards, Jaehyun didn't look happy. He had a hunch this would happen. Why aren't there any good quests? The only quest cards left were for hunting wolves, controlling rats, or finding rocks. In his mind, Jaehyun cursed this god-forsaken beginner town. Collapsed on the table, motionless, Jaehyun was already thinking about putting the video shoot on hold. Just then, the silver-haired man who had given him the mission earlier walked over and chuckled. "I knew it. You're the adventurer who conquered the Bima mountain cave, right?" Hearing that familiar voice, Jaehyun immediately looked up, frowning as he thought, "Wait him. The guy from back then." The man stood in front of Jaehyun and introduced himself. "I'm Hutan. Do you have a moment?" Right after that, the two went into a private room to talk. Hutan started. "I heard you saw a mutated monster in the Bima mountain cave." Hearing him say that, Jaehyun thought to himself, "What is this? Is this an event?" He then replied, "I encountered a werewolf with strange eyes." Hearing this, Hutan turned around immediately, his voice dropping low. "As I thought, the monster you faced was highly likely infected with the power of the Fallen." Hearing that, Jaehyun froze. "The Fallen," Hutan continued. "We haven't been able to identify him yet, but his power is making the monsters more savage and clearly causing a lot of damage. That's why the association has put a bounty on him." Before he could finish, Jaehyun grabbed Hutan's hand, startling him. Jaehyun put on a desperate face and said, "I will do my absolute best to catch that golden nugget. That evil bastard." Hutan looked puzzled, not quite following, and blurted out, "What?" Jaehyun was thinking to himself, "A hidden quest." Hutan, surprised by his enthusiasm, added, "You're still too weak to face the Fallen." Before he could finish, Jaehyun cut him off. "It's fine." Seeing this, Hutan continued, No, you aren't ready yet." Jaehyun didn't give up, instantly replying, "Thank you." Seeing his sincerity, Hutan hesitated, scratching his head, but eventually agreed, laughing. "All right, I'll give you a chance. Based on your effort, head east of Phi Castle. At Ben's castle, there's a person named Ahimbi." Hearing the name Hutan had just mentioned, Jaehyun went still as if struck by lightning. Hutan continued, "Perhaps he can teach you. I'll write you a letter of introduction." Jaehyun looked up and a card appeared in front of him. It was the letter of introduction Hutan had written for him, titled Ahimbi's Instruction. The contents read, "Find Ahimbi and show him Hutan's letter of introduction. Reward skill book." Jaehyun bowed his head, biting his lip, trembling, unable to say a word. Once he was outside, Jaehyun finally relaxed and shouted, "Yes!" People passing by were drawn to his yell, but Jaehyun didn't notice. People all around were starting to whisper about him, but in his head he was just thinking, "Is this for real? Did I really get a quest to become Ahimbi's apprentice? One of the 7 disciples of the Archmage Bokan." The NPC Ahimbi. Jaehyun thought, every mage wants to meet him because he provides the rarest skill books. In other words, he's a very important NPC. Jaehyun immediately hurried away from the crowd, thinking to himself that maybe, just maybe, he had really scored a huge opportunity. Since the Rising Star title quest and the Fallen Count main mission are overlapping, if this goes smoothly, you won't have to worry about video content anymore. While walking down the road, he suddenly froze. Wait a minute. John flashed a smile and muttered to himself, I almost forgot there's one more thing to take care of. The scene then shifts to a forest. The wind blew, making the branches rub against each other with a rustling sound. John stood alone in the forest, hands tucked into his pockets, when suddenly he called out, Bone Summon. Right after that, he tossed a skull onto the ground. It rolled a few times, releasing a burst of power, and then the skeleton soldier slowly began to assemble itself, starting with the feet, then the arms until it was complete. John then spoke up. I haven't even checked the loot from the last battle yet. First, I'll use the werewolf skull I kept instead of selling it. As he spoke, he looked at the system interface hovering in his hand. A werewolf skull icon appeared and the system prompted him. Consume the werewolf skull to enhance your skeleton soldier. Jaehyun didn't hesitate and agreed immediately. The werewolf skull was instantly absorbed by his skeleton soldier. The system then displayed, Skeleton Soldier has inherited the werewolf's attributes durability, +2. After that, Jaehyun took out the magic necklace he had received earlier. He held it up and said, and the Fallen Pursuer's necklace, equip. He put it on immediately, and the system notified him Fallen Pursuer's necklace effect applied. All stats +18, class-related stats increased. After finishing these two tasks, Jaehyun looked up at the sky and said, All right, preparations are complete. But the skeleton soldier noticed he seemed to be hesitating and looked at him in confusion. Jaehyun, then, in his hand, suddenly pulled out 2 more skulls and said in a low voice, Bone Summon. Jaehyun tossed the 2 skulls onto the ground. The skeletons watched them roll, and a blue orb of mana instantly materialized. 2 more meaner-looking skeletons emerged, summoned by Jaehyun. As they appeared, the first skeleton held up its hand, checking itself out. It looked confused, then poked Jaehyun and pointed at the 2 new skeletons. Jaehyun understood and spoke up. From now on, you guys are a 3-man squad. Get used to working together. One of the skeletons clearly didn't like that. It knelt down and let out a wail as if protesting, but Jaehyun and the others ignored it and started moving. As he led the way, Jaehyun scanned his surroundings. He wondered what kind of monsters lived here. No sooner had he thought it than a massive bear with blood-red eyes appeared right in front of him. It roared, drool flying everywhere, a level 25 forest bear. The roar shook the air and it swung a massive paw toward Jaehyun. He reacted instantly, leaning back to dodge. The bear followed up with its other paw, but Jaehyun just ducked and slipped under the attack. The bear roared even more furiously, but Jaehyun just stood there motionless. The bear stared at him. As it lunged again, Jaehyun raised his hands to block, putting on a terrified expression. But just then, Jaehyun snapped his fingers, broke into a wide grin, and shouted, Gotcha now! Following his order, the scene shifted. One skeleton suddenly lunged in sword drawn, grabbing the bear's attention. Seeing this intruder, the bear lashed out with a massive paw. It grabbed the skeleton by the head and threw it hard. The skeleton crashed to the ground with a loud thud, bones cracking on impact. Jaehyun clutched his head in frustration and shouted, Are you serious? You really thought a telegraphed move like that would work? You have to aim for its blind spot. Just as he finished, another skeleton rushed in from behind the bear, leaping into the air to strike. It went for a stab, but before it could land the blow, the bear went berserk, swatted the second skeleton away, and roared. Jaehyun's eyes turned bloodshot with rage, losing his temper. Jaehyun yelled, Hey! Looking at the 2 broken skeletons on the ground, he barked, I told you to aim for the blind spot. Why did you do the exact same thing as the last guy? This is so frustrating. Just as he was ranting, the first skeleton reappeared. It held its sword and struck a pose. A golden aura glowed around it. Seeing this, Jaehyun's anger vanished, replaced by a flushed, expectant look. The skeleton leaped into the air, ready to slash at the bear. Seeing this, Jaehyun thought, Don't tell me. Under the dazzling sunlight, the skeleton was shining brilliantly, but before it could even get close, the bear lazily swatted its head off. Jaehyun froze. He buried his face in his hands, trembling with rage. You bunch of idiots! His shout was so loud that the birds in the forest took flight in terror. A while later, All three skeletons were holding their own skulls with both hands, sweating cold sweat and trembling in fear. Jaehyun sat on top of the defeated bear. He grabbed his head and glared at the three skeletons kneeling before him. "Do you guys even have brains?" No sooner had he said it, he answered himself, "Oh, right, probably not. Whatever, put your heads back on." Seeing he wasn't mad anymore, the skeletons quickly reattached their skulls. Jaehyun sighed. Look, when a monster gets attacked, it obviously turns to face the source of the hit. That's why you have to aim for their blind spots. What do you think happens if you attack from where they can't see? He used a stick to draw a diagram in the dirt, but the skeletons just tilted their heads, looking completely confused. Jaehyun got annoyed again. Forget it. This is just giving me a headache. He pulled at his messy hair, deep in thought. It was good that his level had increased, and he could summon 3 skeletons now thanks to the Fallen Tracker's necklace effect, but they couldn't work together at all. He remembered the bear swatting them away like flies and how he had screamed, "I told you to aim for the blind spot." "Why are you repeating the same mistakes?" Jaehyun pondered. It seemed they only remembered what he had taught them individually. They were fine with simple solo tasks, but the moment he told them to coordinate, they just stared at him with those blank expressions. He felt helpless. They hadn't learned how to fight as a unit yet, they just didn't know how. Jaehyun held his head in his hands, his face dark. This wasn't looking good. He muttered, 3 times the mana cost, but they're even worse than before. Finally, with a sigh, he stood up. Whatever, at least I hit level 20 like I wanted. Looks like I won't be making any combat videos for a while. The 3 skeletons sensed his disappointment and stood silently, not daring to speak. They looked a bit sad, too. Jaehyun turned and walked into the forest, saying over his shoulder, "Get up. We're going to keep training until we reach Ben's castle." The 3 skeletons wobbled to their feet and started to follow him, stumbling as they went. But at this moment, all Jaehyun could think about was how he foolishly assumed he could just hand over the fighting to those guys. As he sat back trying to relax like any necromancer should, he couldn't help but regret his initial decision, and he almost wanted to cry. Walking through the forest, he couldn't help but complain, "Oh, for heaven's sake." Cutting to the Hunter Association Ben's Castle branch, the streets were bustling with people. Inside a tavern, a large crowd of players was gathered. Just as things were getting rowdy, a man emerged from the room upstairs. As soon as he stepped out and people saw him, the crowd in the tavern immediately swarmed toward the man, shouting loudly, "What kind of quest did you get? Tell us." "Let me know." The whole mob acted like they were possessed, surrounding the man, who looked absolutely terrified. At that moment, a figure in a hooded cloak appeared at the entrance. Completely covered, the figure watched the crazed crowd in front of them. They thought to themselves, it's like a pack of vultures. It was Jaehyun. He tried to pull his cloak up higher, not wanting to reveal his face, thinking, "I guess you can find them anywhere." He watched the crowd mobbing the man. Jaehyun silently judged them, thinking, "These guys don't want to put in any effort. They just want to leech off others." Jaehyun's expression turned grim until suddenly a voice called out from behind him. "Hey!" A bald man walked up, circling Jaehyun, and said flatteringly, "If you have any good quests..." Before he could finish, Jaehyun lost his patience. "Get lost," he said, and walked straight toward the stairs as fast as he could, thinking to himself that he couldn't let them know he was on a quest. "Ahimbra, here I come!" The bald man stood there, stunned, just staring at Jaehyun's back and muttering, "What the..." By now, Jaehyun had already climbed the stairs. He pulled out a letter and held it up, saying, "I have a letter of introduction from Hutan." The examiner took the letter, read it, and said, "Confirmed. Please proceed to the 2nd floor." The crowd below saw Jaehyun get direct access and just stared with their jaws dropped. Immediately, they started clamoring to go up, with one of them shouting, "I'm in his party! Let me up!" The guard immediately blocked the swarm of people with his body. Meanwhile, Jaehyun thought to himself, "Nope, not a chance." Jaehyun walked up each step with a faint smile, wondering what Ahimbra would reward him with. Since it's a hidden quest, it must be something good, right? After reaching the 2nd floor, Jaehyun saw only one door in front of him. He approached it. He was still thinking about building a long-term relationship with him. With that in mind, Jaehyun pushed the door open, a smile on his face as he spoke. "Excuse me." But the sight before him left him shocked, and he let out a gasp. The room was filled with countless books with stacks piled high on top of each other. Seeing that, only one thought crossed Jaehyun's mind: what a mess. Suddenly, someone stirred from within the pile of books and asked, "Who are you?" The man took off his glasses. A book fell off his head along with them. The man frowned and said, "I don't recall having an appointment today." This man was the NPC Ahimbre. Jaehyun could only offer a strained, awkward smile, thinking to himself, what is this? Is Ahimbre really like this? Jaehyun walked up to the desk, bowed, and handed over the letter. I am Hayakan. I came on Hutan's recommendation. Ahimbre immediately took the letter from his friend. He opened it and said, You still look like a novice black mage. I assume your skills are better than your level, then. Jaehyun looked at him with admiration and replied excitedly, I just got lucky. In his head, he was only thinking about getting the reward. Suddenly, Ahimbre raised his hand. Casting a spell, he said to Jaehyun, Very well, here is the promised reward. Suddenly, books appeared in Jaehyun's hands. The system notification popped up, You have received the Bone Armor Skill Book. You have received the Frenzy Skill Book. Looking at the skill books in his hands, Jaehyun was thrilled and thought, He gave me 2 and they look super rare too. He hurriedly said, Thank you so very. Before he could finish, Ahimbre cut him off. We're done here. The system flashed a notification, Ahimbre's instruction quest completed. Ahimbre turned to leave, tossing back one last comment. Watch your step on the way out. Jaehyun, seeing this, panicked and rushed after him, accidentally knocking over several stacks of books in his haste, thinking, why did the quest end so fast? He has to give me the next quest. Thinking that, Jaehyun immediately shouted, Wait! Watching Ahimbre's back fade further away, Jaehyun thought, I didn't go through all of this just for a couple of skill books. So Jaehyun shouted after him again, Sir, I will do anything, please, just give me... He was so desperate that he shoved past the stacks of books running toward him. Reaching his hand out right at that moment, Ahimbre suddenly turned back and grabbed his hand. Using both of his hands, he lifted Jaehyun's hand up. While Jaehyun stood there clueless and confused, Ahimbre bowed his head and said in a low voice, You will do anything. He looked up at Jaehyun with a strange, eerie smile and continued, Thank you so much. The system immediately notified Jaehyun of a new quest. Reaching out his hand at that exact moment, Ahimbre suddenly turned back and took the initiative to grab his hand, using both of his own hands to lift Jaehyun's. While Jaehyun was still bewildered and clueless, Ahimbre bowed his head and said in a low voice, You will do whatever it takes. He looked up at Jaehyun with a weird, twisted smile and continued, Thank you so much. The system immediately notified Jaehyun of a quest, Eggs in the Nest. Are you going to give me the eggs, or is there no reward? No reward. Those are 2 words echoed in Jaehyun's mind. He instantly realized, that old man, he totally played me. For a moment, Jaehyun just couldn't believe it. He stood there, mouth agape, feeling like he'd been struck by lightning. Suddenly, the crowd on the street parted ways, and a figure clad in full armor appeared before them. Every single eye on the street was locked onto this person. Passers-by couldn't help but turn their heads to stare. Some were even whispering, Man, that armor must be worth a fortune, right? The armored figure strode down the main road, heading toward a building nearby. A few people scattered here and there noticed the building and muttered, That's where the Ha-Hu Mask guy is staying. The figure was armored from head to toe. Even their helmet looked incredibly intricate. Back to the scene. The second-floor door finally cracked open. Jaehyun stepped out and the door slammed shut behind him with a deafening thud. He stood in the hallway, biting his lip, looking like he was about to cry. With tears welling up, he thought, So this is how it is, getting played by an NPC. I thought he'd at least give me a main quest. What even is this proof quest anyway? Thinking that, Jaehyun stormed off the second floor. As he paced, he grumbled in frustration, And no reward. This is bullshit. Do I really have to do this? What are you doing? You're still standing there whining about the quest. Ahimbre gave it to me. Just then a weird voice boomed, reminding Jaehyun of something. The quest! A bald guy shoved his face right into Jaehyun's, his expression sinister. Almost immediately, a mob rushed forward, swarming Jaehyun so fast he didn't even have time to react before he was pinned to the floor. The crowd went wild. This guy's got a quest. Get him! Pinned beneath the pile, Jaehyun's expression turned ugly. He thought, Damn it, I forgot about these guys. What do I do now? Should I just wipe them out? But if I do that, just as Jaehyun was about to suffocate under the weight of the crowd, a voice rang out, Back off! It was the armored figure from before. As soon as they charged in, the rest of the mob was sent flying by the stranger's sheer strength. Jaehyun sat up, still stunned, not sure what to say. The armored person spoke up. Are you free? I want to talk somewhere quiet. The stranger's aura was heavy and ominous. It caught Jae-hyun off guard and he didn't know how to react. He sat there, brow furrowed, cold sweat trickling down. Who the hell is this guy? Jae-hyun wondered to himself. He gritted his teeth, staring daggers at the stranger. Hostile as ever, he spat, "Get lost, man." "Why you?" Before he could finish, the stranger interrupted. "Please, let's cooperate." The armored figure leaned in close and whispered, making Jae-hyun freeze up. "Mr. Hahu Mask," immediately after. Jae-hyun followed the armored figure outside. They stood in a narrow alley, Jae-hyun remaining on high alert against the stranger who kept their face hidden. The armored figure spoke up. "Sorry for the trouble. I figured we couldn't talk properly in there." As they spoke, they raised a hand and tapped their wristwatch. The helmet instantly vanished. It was Ano Chelian's assistant. He continued, "Now that there's no one around," Jae-hyun eyed him from head to toe, frowning in distaste. "He doesn't look like a high ranker," he thought. "But I don't remember ever seeing him." A series of questions raced through Jae-hyun's mind. Who is this guy? And how does he know who I am? Ano pushed up his glasses and asked, "You're the Hahu Mask, right?" Hearing that question, Jae-hyun's hand, tucked inside his cloak, tightened. He thought to himself, in situations like this, you just have to play dumb. Jae-hyun puffed out his chest, tilted his head back, and shot back, "Who the hell is Hahu Mask?" Ano hesitated, confused. Jae-hyun stared him straight in the eye and said, "I followed you because you said you had something to talk about, but who is this Hahu guy?" Ano, losing patience, pushed up his glasses again and said, "I followed you because you said you had something to talk about, but who is this Hahu guy from the NPC named Ahimbre?" Jae-hyun cut him off. "Listen here." Jae-hyun lowered his head, his voice trembling with irritation as he snapped, "Who the hell are you? And why should I share anything with you? Dragging me out here like this is already pissing me off. You looking for a fight? If so, bring your main account and try to kill me." Jae-hyun immediately flipped him double middle fingers, looking completely provocative. But deep down he was thinking, I don't know who he is, but playing dumb is enough. "What are you gonna do next?" Jae-hyun stood there, lips pursed in anger, unable to say another word. Immediately after, Ano suddenly reached out his hand again. He bowed deeply and said to Jae-hyun with a look of sincerity, "It seems I was mistaken. Please accept my apologies." Jae-hyun just hung his head without saying a word. Suddenly he leaned in, shook the guy's hand, and laughed, saying, "Scared, huh?" Then he immediately turned and walked away. He just waved his hand dismissively and said, "I'll let you off the hook this time," meeting some weirdo looking for a fight for no reason. Ano stood there, watching Jae-hyun's back as he walked away. He didn't say a single word. Just then another guy suddenly appeared and spoke to him. "You don't think that was him, do you?" "One thing is for sure, he's definitely not a skilled player." Ano remained silent. Using his power, he conjured a handkerchief and began to wipe the hand that Jae-hyun had just touched. He then said, "If you had played Warlord for a while, you would know better than to reach out your hand to a war eye." Ano gritted his teeth. His expression filled with intense anger and disgust, and he kept scrubbing his hand with the cloth. Hearing that the other guy raised a hand to his forehead, sighed and said, "Do we really need to scout around Ahimbre? The Fallen Count quest is almost over. Even if someone finds out now, what can they even do? The Egg in the Nest quest is the main priority." After wiping his hand clean, Ano tossed the handkerchief away. He reached up to push his glasses and said, "We cannot afford any risks." Hearing that, the other guy turned to leave as well, leaving behind only the words, "I'm heading back to my post then." Ano also turned away, replying, "See you later." At the window of a house upstairs, which was slightly ajar, a figure was looming. It was Jae-hyun, who had been standing there watching the whole time. In his mind, he was thinking, there are two of them, and they're definitely part of an organization because they work together. But if they were from a regular guild, they would have reached an agreement with me after I told them who they were. Jae-hyun recalled how Ano had proactively tried to shake his hand earlier, and he continued to ponder the situation. They're definitely not ordinary people. Jae-hyun turned and walked away from his vantage point. His guard was up. He was thinking, just who the hell are these freaks? Scene change. Deep in the forest. Jae-hyun was having his skeleton troops practice their swordsmanship. He sat on a tree stump, chin resting on his hands, lost in deep thought. But one thing is certain, there are many clues in the egg quest. They probably watched my videos. They know that Hahu Mask takes quests from Ahimbre. Since they let me go so easily, they don't care who Hahu Mask really is. Thinking this far, Jae-hyun clutched his head in frustration, muttering, I don't even understand what this quest is about, but if it keeps going like this, I'm bound to run into them. If I want to avoid them, I can't post any more videos for a while. Jaehyun lamented his own fate, wondering why these crazy people keep ruining his life. Dealing with Kelly-on, that woman alone, is already way beyond my capacity. Scene change. Inside her room, Selian had just woken up and was sitting in her VR pod. A girl with her hair in a high bun was already waiting in the room holding a water bottle. She appeared cautious as she spoke. "You did a great job." This was Park Soo-ji-Chelian's assistant. She bowed her head, gathered her courage to hand over the water bottle, and asked, "How did the guild entrance test go?" Chelian showed no appreciation. She just snatched the bottle from Suji's hand and muttered, "It was all trash." As she tilted her head back to drink, she angrily remarked, "Why isn't a single one of them useful?" Suji, seeing her attitude, didn't even dare to breathe too loudly and just stammered out 2 words. In her head, she could only sigh and think, "So scary." Selian then turned to her assistant and asked, "Any updates on that Hahu mask person I mentioned last time?" Suji hesitated for a moment before replying, "The person who posted the video? It seems they joined a different guild because there's been no response." Hearing that, Selian instantly grew furious. She squeezed the water bottle so hard that the water splashed out. She crushed the bottle, her face contorted in extreme anger as she gritted her teeth and said, "A different guild." Seeing the twisted expression on her face, Suji was instantly terrified and on the verge of tears. In her heart, she bowed, deeply cold sweat dripping as she stammered, "No, that's not it. I'll double-check again." Selian stepped out of the simulation pod, leaving only the words, "Report back when you're sure." As she walked into the dressing room, she asked, "Suji, what did the chairman say?" Hearing that, she immediately replied, "He hasn't said anything yet." Upon hearing that, Selian smirked slightly and continued, "He hasn't said anything about Warlord doing well." She had now changed into a professional office outfit, a button-down shirt and a long skirt paired with black heels. She stepped out and continued, "He tried to arrange a marriage. When I first told him about playing this game." Seeing Selian like this, Suji blushed silently, admiring Selian's figure. Meanwhile, Selian was busy instructing her assistant to make a list of new candidates and report it to me by tomorrow morning. Hearing "tomorrow morning," Suji's face went pale and she couldn't help but exclaim, "Tomorrow morning, that's too soon." But Selian had already walked out. Inside the room, only Suji remained standing there. She had been complaining for a long time about her bad personality. The scene shifts to inside the game where Jae-hyun is checking his reflection in a swamp pool, muttering to himself, "It's been a while since I've been here. The Lizard Man Swamp." The water in front of him is murky green, bubbling and steaming. His 3 bone soldiers have followed him here. Jae-hyun stands there thinking to himself, "Ahimbre is currently at Bangstu Castle, so the quest must be around here somewhere. Since the quest is to find an egg, it has to belong to a reptile or an insect-type monster. After narrowing down the accessible areas for my level, this Lizard Man Swamp is the only place left." After thinking it over, Jae-hyun turns around. He checks his system clock and calls out, "Bone soldiers, come here. The monster skill window here is for higher levels. So maybe I should use the enhancement skill I learned last time." His system is currently displaying info about a skill, Berserker Hat Proficiency F. Usage. Draw a mark on the target's head and chant the incantation to activate. Note, must draw the mark. Reading this information, Jae-hyun mutters the incantation to himself, then puts on the hat immediately after activating the skill. His bone soldier's eyes immediately change from blue flames to red. It also looks more aggressive. Jae-hyun sees this and says, "That's so cool." At this moment, the bone soldier is radiating a bright red aura around its body. This power even blows the hood off Jae-hyun's cape. Next, 2 red horns grow out of the bone soldier's head. Jae-hyun is surprised and exclaims, "Whoa, it even has horns now. Okay, gotta test this out. Attack me." The bone soldier stands with its head bowed, its entire body radiating dark energy with a mark on its forehead. The instructions for the Berserker Hat skill noted, draw a mark on the target's head and chant the incantation to activate. Note, summoned creatures may lose their sanity. Jae-hyun stares directly at a bone soldier and activates combat mode. It growls, "Understood. We need to test it, so attack me." It explodes with fighting spirit. Its eye sockets flare up with rays of light that envelop the space. Jae-hyun widens his eyes in surprise when he sees the bone soldier's claws reaching for his face. "You." He throws a lightning-fast punch. The bone soldier's head gently flies off and it stumbles forward. Jae-hyun raises a hand and calmly scolds the 2 bone soldiers beside him. "Freeze, did you just scream at me? How dare you?" He rubs his chin, looking at the analysis screen. Is this some kind of bug? While he is deep in thought, I don't think anything changed. Don't tell me even this skill was a scam. Down in the swamp, a lizard man had already hidden, preparing to attack from behind. It roars, its fierce eyes ready to devour everything. Lizard man level 30. Jae-hyun turns to look at it with a look of disdain and a calm smile. Just in time for a test subject. He presses the control button to upgrade the 3 bone soldiers. A bright red light envelops them. Equip Berserker Hat. Boost summon stats. Current multiplier 1.2 times. The bone soldiers are ready for battle, bloodlust filling the air. And by the way, Bone Fragment. Bone Fragment. Equip armor on summons. Current armor available for summons, chest piece. Watching the lizard man bare its fangs ready to attack, Jae-hyun calmly commands the soldiers. He points a finger at the bone soldiers' charge. It rushes into battle. The bone soldier's slash carries a chilling breath of death. Its combat power is not to be underestimated. Its strength doesn't lie in speed, but in immortality and overwhelming pressure. Jae-hyun stands relaxed, hands on his hips, watching as the bone soldiers wipe out the 3 lizard men. Experience points plus 864. Level up. He breaks into a huge, satisfied grin. That's awesome. He watches the 3 bone soldiers who are full of energy. All right then, for the next week. We'll go hunt monsters and search for the egg. And if this isn't the quest area, we'll go elsewhere. Ilya stands in the distance, observing Jae-hyun, who is eager to move on. She brings a hand to her chin, thinking with a hungry gaze. She strikes a pose, showing off, "My name is Ilya." Her eyelashes curl, her pupils vibrating with an irresistible charm. "As you can see, I am a supreme beauty," she boasts. "I don't want to say it myself, but it's the truth, so I can't help but say it. No matter what I do, everyone likes me." Ilya moves gracefully and fluidly. "That's why my life is so easy. If I show even a hint of worry, my slaves will rush to help me." She walks quickly. Unexpectedly, she slips and face plants into a puddle. Her whole body lies sprawled out. Looking up, she is extremely angry. "This damn place. I hate it so much." She thinks of her old slave. "One of my slaves brought me here to help me level up, saying, 'Just follow me.' Oh my God, who would have guessed? But he died immediately. So now I'm stuck here." She is between laughter and tears. "The monsters here are too high level, and it's hard to walk around. Is there anyone I can trick?" As if Jae-hyun sensed something. Sensing the malice in the air, Ilya looks up with sinister eyes. "Found a new slave." Jae-hyun suddenly hears someone calling from behind. Ilya rushes up from behind, pretending to be weak, and falls down. "Please help me." Ilya bites her hand in pain and slightly lifts her head. Her eyes, as beautiful as if they held the starry sky, look pitiful. "My leg is injured because of these monsters." Jae-hyun doesn't react, making her extremely angry. Her gaze sharpens. "Well, seeing a beautiful lady in such pain, what do you think? Don't you feel any pity at all?" Jae-hyun kept walking calmly as if he hadn't heard a thing. Yulia, sitting behind him, couldn't resist the urge to play the victim. Seeing Jae-hyun had no intention of helping her, she was boiling with rage. Is he really just going to walk away? She tried to reach out, putting on a weak, maidenly act. How could he ignore a stunning beauty like her just because she was hurt? "Excuse me, Mr. Necromancer," she called out. But Jae-hyun just sighed, not even bothering to look back. "Another crazy one," he muttered, her voice trembling, teeth gritted in anger. Her eyes went wild, a surge of killing intent radiating through the air. "How dare you ignore me?" Suddenly more Lyramen appeared, and her skeletal soldiers charged into battle. "They're fighting quite fiercely. I've got a good chance of winning." He laughed. Behind him, Yulia was still posturing. Jae-hyun found her beyond annoying. "It hurts so much," she wailed loudly. Jae-hyun turned to look at her, having ignored her to save time, but she just kept tailing him. He watched as she desperately tried to act pitiful. With a bored sigh, he shoved his hands into his pockets and started walking away. But she called out after him, "Is there anyone who can help me?" He squeezed his eyes shut. "If you guys are playing a game, then play it properly, you bastards. Do you think this is a joke?" Faces flashed through his mind. He turned back, clearly displeased, and barked, "I think handling this directly will be much faster. Do you need help with something?" Yulia stood up, trembling, pressing her hands to her chest. "I dropped my sword in one of the swamps while hunting. Could you help me retrieve it?" Bored, he replied, "Once you get it back, get out of my sight immediately." Yulia nodded, frantically delighted. "Of course!" "Thank you so much. I won't forget your help." Her eyes were filled with a mix of madness and twisted excitement, making the atmosphere chilling. "Got you." She led him to find the sword in the mud. "There it is." She acted incredibly moved. "Thank you so much. If it weren't for you, I would have—" Jaehyun, weary of the formalities, said, "It's fine. Just don't forget your promise to get out of my sight once I get it for you." He bowed his head and sighed. "Skeleton soldier, go get it." 3 skeletal soldiers skipped toward the sword. Yulia grinned from ear to ear. "Thank you so much, necromancer." Her pupils flickered, her gaze filled with wild, uncontrollable mania. "Without those summoned creatures, you're nothing." She stared straight at the back of Jaehyun's neck, lunging forward with incredible speed. "How dare you ignore me, die!" Jaehyun remained calm, unfazed. He turned around with a cunning smile. "Too slow." Yulia's eyes widened in shock as he grabbed her by the collar. What one hit! He tossed her into the air and she flew straight into a dirty, stagnant puddle. She struggled and shrieked in the muck, her anger exploding. "You bastard! Do you really think you'll get away with this? After pulling a stunt like that, my bodyguard can crush you in the blink of an eye." Jaehyun covered his mouth to stifle a laugh. "Look behind you." Yulia glanced over. "What?" "Behind me." "What's behind me? If you're going to trick me, at least do it properly." A pack of Lyramen were baring their fangs, eyes glowing red. She gritted her teeth in terror while Jaehyun stood on the bank mocking her. "I saw right through you from the very beginning." "What an idiot." He pondered to himself. "I've had enough of these scams." He turned away coldly. "What a waste of time. Skeleton soldiers, let's go." One of the skeleton soldiers started imitating Yulia's posturing. "Practice your seduction elsewhere," Jaehyun complained. "Stop doing weird things or I'll kill you." The system announced, "Player Yulia has died." Jaehyun was pleasantly surprised. "What's this I got points for that?" "I didn't even expect it since I didn't actually kill her. How lucky." He recalled the scene where she had threatened him with disdain. "Do you really think you'll get away with this after doing that?" "Ha! My bodyguard could crush you in an instant." A bodyguard my foot. He thought of the chubby, pathetic-looking players and burst out laughing. "I bet someone like you doesn't even have a bodyguard." In the gloomy, humid swamp, leaves fell in the breeze as a sword pierced a chest and fresh blood poured out. Jaehyun had just taken down another guy. Before the man collapsed, he kept mumbling, "You damn piece of enemy of Lady Yulia. I need to avenge her." Jaehyun asked, "Let me ask you something." Curious, he continued, "Why would you go this far for her? You aren't getting anything out of this. Do you think she'd date you just because you avenged her?" The man's eyes lit up. "Why are you so obsessed with a girl you've only met through a game?" He was surprised by that remark. The man screamed with a face full of infatuation, "Because I love her!" Jaehyun swung his sword to finish him off, his eyes filled with disgust. How ridiculous. He pieced together everything he had encountered. The image of Yulia, the madwoman from earlier, acting all coy, it made him reflect. She kept trying to trick me, saying, "Please help me." So I dealt with her, but I never imagined what she might have been saying at that time. The image of her crying while covering her face, was that actually true? "Everyone, I'm so sad." Her face was weak, tears streaming down. "All I did was ask for help and that necromancer attacked me. Those who were infatuated with her, those guys would hunt Jaehyun down because of that." "There you are, enemy of Lady Yulia." Jaehyun felt thrilled by that. "I'm starting to run into these lunatics every day. I was getting so restless because I couldn't find any quests after all. And now I've got another bunch of losers like this coming after me." He sat down, a cold look on his face, staring at the system notification, wondering, should I go find that woman and just kill her? No, I'd be in serious trouble if I did that. "You have obtained an unclaimed ring." The watch pinged repeatedly with system alerts. "You have obtained 5,011 gold. You have obtained boots made of goblin fur. You have obtained a rare-grade promise necklace." He couldn't believe his eyes. Wait, isn't the promise necklace an extremely rare item? Can't it be sold for thousands of one? He stood up with his 3 skeleton soldiers, throwing his hands up in the air, mocking the image of those simps. "Ah, never mind, love is truly wonderful. Everyone will join me in worshipping a goddess." "Thanks a lot, you bastards." He was happily kissing his watch, celebrating his loot. "Finally, I can actually afford a decent meal today." Suddenly, a panicked guy ran up. "There he is. I've found Lady Ilya's enemy." Jaehyun stood up looking proud and ready to fight. "That's right, I'm the piece of trash who killed Yulia. Welcome, everyone." A group of about 10 armed men surrounded them. His face hardened. He didn't expect there to be so many. Why are there so many of them? He was flustered while the group charged with bloodthirsty intent, shouting, "Get him, kill him!" He kept muttering to himself, just how many of them are there? He quickly turned tail and ran. It was insane how many people had been bewitched by that woman. Are you serious right now? Running frantically, he suddenly remembered something. Damn it! He raised his hand, commanding his skeleton soldiers. The men whispered among themselves, "He's summoning skeletons just like we heard." Well, then I'll leave them for you to handle. The fat guy summoned the power of his solar sword skill, shouting, "By the power of love!" He smashed the skeletons, scattering their bones everywhere. Jaehyun yelled, "The power of love! Who actually has a skill like that?" Wait, there's no such skill. The system alerted, "Your skeleton soldier has been destroyed." He felt anxious. Damn it, they seem to be higher level than me, and there are so many of them. I don't think I can take them head on. Realizing the situation was bad, he bolted without looking back. You guys are dead once I level up. The Ilya Simps laughed. Look at him running away. Chase him down. He hid behind an ancient tree, the sound of their laughter echoing around him. Jaehyun fell into deep thought. It was hard to shake them off because, frankly, he was still underleveled. For now, I just need to keep moving. His eyes widened, pupils contracting in shock. All around him was a dark, gloomy forest, the ancient trees choked by thick vines. Where on earth am I? This place looks different from before. He rested his chin on his hand, eyes deep in thought. I don't remember a place like this. In the lizard swamp. I've been scouting this area all day, but I've never seen a black swamp like this. He was silent for a long time, then suddenly Jaehyun's face lit up as he realized something. That must be it. The Ilya-obsessed mob was still searching. Damn that bastard necromancer, where did he go? Wait, where did he go? The fat guy's eyes lit up, pointing to the other side. Over there, I see one of his skeletons. A light orb glowed, flashing repeatedly while the skeletons danced and swayed. It's dance time. The sight left the Ilya Simps gaping in surprise. The fat guy was steaming with rage. That bastard necromancer, as if harming Lady Ilya wasn't enough, he's trying to humiliate us like this too. Is that really what's happening? Infuriated, the guy lunged at the skeletons with wind-like speed. I won't forgive you! Suddenly, a ferocious elite lizard appeared, roaring as if it wanted to swallow everything in its path. The fat guy froze his face, twisting teeth clenched in fear. What the hell is that? The elite lizard's tongue shot out, wrapping around the fat guy and dragging him into its maw. The rest of them broke into a cold sweat, looking down with panicked, bloodshot eyes. A lizard. A level 40. Elite lizard. A boss. Monster of the lizard swamp. The men were rooted to the spot, paralyzed. Damn it, don't let it stop. I never thought... Stop, The lizard's nest was here all along. Jaehyun stood behind the tree, silently observing. He watched with a smile as he analyzed the high-level monster. A lizard is a boss-class monster with overwhelming strength. Its health and attack power are insane. You'd need a team of 20 level 40 players. He frowned, looking contemplative. To even stand a chance at beating it based on what I've heard. And the dragon lizard hunting party finished their quest a while ago. Usually this boss monster wouldn't be here. However, if someone with a similar quest joins the game, the monsters will respawn. In other words, because the lizard is right here. So this is where Ahimbris's quest begins. Jaehyun slumped down at the base of a tree, biting his thumb in thought. Wait, so Ahimbris sent me here to defeat that thing and bring back an egg when I'm only level 20. His eyes turned cold, sharp enough to incinerate the swindler before him. How could he do something so ridiculous? He watched them from the shadows. Well, luckily, I managed to gather some decent teammates, so things should work out. One of the guys in the group yelled, "This lizard is way too much for us. Let's retreat," and Jaehyun let out a satisfied smirk and raised his hand to control the undead soldiers. You guys aren't going anywhere. The undead soldiers surged forward with burning combat intent. The group turned pale. They've blocked us. One of them tried to reassure himself. It's fine, we just need to push through. The elite lizard gave a single swipe, sending the man flying into midair, its mouth agape, waiting for the prey to fall. The others panicked. Damn it, we've got the lizard right behind us. Another one spotted Jaehyun making a run for it. That necromancer is escaping. Jaehyun ran off with a mocking thought. Thanks for the help, teammates. Inside the encirclement, the remaining ones shouted, Catch him! He chuckled. I won't forget your sacrifice, everyone. He dashed away at full speed. Now it's time to go. He slipped past the massive tree roots and into the lair, ready to snatch the egg. He leaped inside, looking satisfied. "I'm in. Thanks for the eggs." His initial calm expression vanished, replaced by confusion. "What?" He panicked. "Are the eggs not here?" Jae-hyun looked around. "That's impossible. They have to be around here somewhere." He spotted something egg-shaped with a glowing symbol printed on it. He stared at it. "I've found the most suspicious thing possible. But isn't this more of a rock than an egg? Well, there's nothing else that looks like an egg here anyway." The system notified him that his undead soldiers had been wiped out. He immediately sprang to his feet. The lizard must have come back because it realized someone broke into its nest. Time to get out of here. Before he could react, the elite lizard's red eyes glowed with bloodthirsty intent. It burst into the cave with a roar. Luckily, Jae-hyun had already hidden. That was close. He observed the situation. "Now that the lizard is back, I can't search around the nest anymore." Resigned to his fate, he gritted his teeth and looked down. "I have no choice but to take this with me, even if it's not a real egg." Ahimbris sat with his chin in his hand, deep in thought. The system signaled Ancient Egg Quest. Return the egg from the nest. The reward was not yet shown. The sky was blue and the sun was shining, but the light couldn't penetrate the dense forest canopy. The Yulia-obsessed fools lay there gasping for air. Footsteps approached. A survivor, it was Jae-hyun. He snatched the man's system watch. "This is quite an entertaining game. There's so much fun to be had because we're so free to do whatever we want." The man looked up, filled with resentment. "That bastard!" Jae-hyun drove his sword into the ground as a warning. "Let me make this clear." His killing intent flared up. "Up until now I was just playing around with you. But I have a lot at stake in this game." He warned them. "Next time I won't go easy on you. Consider this a warning for you and that woman." The man trembled where he lay. Jae-hyun walked away with his hands behind his back, stepping on each of them as they screamed in pain. "I swear if they follow me again, even after this warning, it'll be an all-out war." An idea struck him. "All right. Time for Jae-hyun to open the system and make some money." "Hello, is this the Ice Guild? I just discovered a lizard dragon in the lizard swamp. I'll send you the exact coordinates for 100,000 G. What, you think this is a joke? I'm serious." He placed the egg on the table, his voice grave. "I've brought what you asked for." He glanced over. "Please let this be the right one. I don't want to flip the whole map upside down to find this egg again." Ahimbris stared at the egg. "This?" he stammered. "Exactly." Jae-hyun's eyes widened, waiting. Ahimbris looked satisfied. "It's the item I was looking for. Well done, Jae-hyun. Finally, I found it." Ahimbris praised him. "You were faster than I thought." He picked up the egg. "I honestly thought it would take someone like you a lot longer." Jae-hyun muttered, "You knew that, and you still gave me the quest. What kind of NPC is this guy?" He forced a laugh. "I did my best. Anyway, can you give me the next quest?" Ahimbris's words caught him off guard. "Do you even know what this is?" He explained, "Every time we scout areas with mutant monsters, we always find these. And that is why we have temporarily named it." His hand trembled slightly when he heard Ahimari mention the corrupted fossil. Jae-hyun couldn't believe it. That must be the reason they were tailing me. To explain, the corrupted fossil is a crucial item linked to the main quest, and they want to make sure that no one else gets their hands on it. That could affect the main storyline of future primary quests. I thought I'd been scammed when I took this quest. I never thought this would turn out to be a main quest. Jae-hyun's eyes narrowed, and Ahimari quickly explained, "I apologize." He stared at the egg. "I know this quest will be very difficult for you. But we are also facing a powerful unknown entity. I need to test your perseverance." He raised an eyebrow. "What do you think? Are you ready to fight the Fallen?" Jae-hyun's hand clenched into a fist. "Perseverance. I'm going to be part of the main quest." He was so thrilled he gasped, rubbing his hands together. "This is a rare opportunity. I will offer my body and soul." Ahimari cut him off. "Not so fast." Jae-hyun's mood plummeted. "What do you mean?" Ahimari crossed his arms. "Surely you've seen how strong those monsters are. I don't think I'd give a quest like that to a newbie." Jae-hyun was devastated. "Damn it. Is my level too low to continue this quest?" But Ahimari interrupted. "However," he teased, "if you say, 'Great Mage Ahimari, please take me as your disciple. Maybe I'll help you with your training.'" Jae-hyun's face darkened. He quickly stepped outside. The system displayed, "You have completed the group quest. You have earned the title Disciple of Ahimari. Ahimari's tutorial quest 2 is about to begin. You have received a new quest. I had to follow what he said. Please take me as your... What I didn't hear you clearly. What a total scammer. Cutting to another scene, the lizard beast is burning fiercely. Cheers erupted from the many people present. Ceasefire, well done, it's finally over. Anyone who needs healing, come over here. The soldier cheered excitedly. Captain, our guild finally pulled off something big. The captain rejoiced. You're right, tell everyone to regroup after a short break. The captain ran over excitedly. Thank you so much, you're stronger than we thought. Standing before him, Anno wiped his hands. The sycophant continued. Because of you, we finished the quest. Anno adjusted his glasses. It's nothing, you guys provided great support for me. The captain laughed out loud. Not really. If it were just us, at least 5 people would be dead by now. Thanks to you, we had 0 casualties. I was skeptical when I heard there were helpers taking money to assist in conquering dungeon bosses. I'm glad I called you. He pulled out a large bag of money. It's not much, but I want you to take it. Anno remained expressionless. This isn't what you guys promised. The captain. Of course, this is separate from that. Anno retorted no. Anno's face remained ice cold. I don't like breaking the rules. I will do exactly what you promised. The captain was stunned. Wait, what I thought he became a helper for the money. He was curious and found it strange. Why would a high-level mercenary come to help with a low-level raid like this? Who is this guy? Anno spoke up. So I'll take all the items from the nest as we agreed. The guy behind him called out, but don't take anything valuable from the nest, all right? Anno pushed up his glasses. Thank goodness. I never thought I'd have the chance to get it. The corrupted fossil. He recalled the battle scene. When I heard the dragon lizard had revived, I worried that the Hahu mask had finished the conquest quest. He thought about the lizard, but since the dragon lizard was still alive, he must have failed. Jumping into a lizard's den and defeating a boss isn't something you can do with just buttons. It requires a lot of calculation. Anno's smile was full of malice. Now I just need to take the corrupted fossil and stop the Hahu mask from finishing the quest. In the empty nest, he trembled with rage. He screamed in frustration, damn it! Switching to another scene. Jae-hyun sat for a long time staring at the screen. He crossed his arms in thought. It was finally time. He scratched his head, days of tightening his belt. I kept telling myself, if I could just hold on a little longer, everything would get better. However, Jae-hyun clenched his fist with determination. It's over. I'm going to do it. I'll order beef. After ordering, he danced around with his phone like a child. I've been trying to save on food costs as much as possible to be prepared, but now I have the main quest. This much should be fine, right? Jae-hyun grinned, his eyes sparkling. I'm getting more out of this quest too, so I think this is a fitting reward for myself. Time to turn it into real money. The chart kept jumping. Money. He was satisfied. I love this. Now time to order that beef. He looked at his account balance. Jae-hyun clutched his head, furious enough to vomit blood. A balance of 856 won beef. What the hell? Now I can't even afford to buy food! He slammed his hands and head onto the floor. Why am I working myself to death and still poor? Suddenly his phone pinged with a message. Romani, are you still alive? Romani, did you quit YouTube completely? Jae-hyun picked up his phone to check. So it was Romani. I forgot to update them on my situation. I haven't been able to make any more videos because some weirdos are hunting me down. He was about to retort, but his eyes felt like they were about to explode. Wait, do I really need to care about those guys? When I'm about to starve to death? What did I even do wrong? I'm just a gamer trying to enjoy the game. Jae-hyun stood up in a rage. Forget it, I don't care anymore. Jae-hyun dove back into the game. I'll do things my way. The scenery was dark and incredibly gloomy with skeleton soldiers marching alongside him. You have entered the necropolis forest. Jae-hyun stuffed his hands into his pockets. No matter how many times he came here, this place was still creepy. He wore a satisfied grin. This is probably the best place to grind for experience. And with this eerie atmosphere, it's also perfect for grabbing attention in my videos. He turned to the skeleton soldiers. All right, now, let's go hunting, but first... The skeletons just stared at him blankly as he spoke. We've got a new teammate. From now on, magic is going to be part of our strategy, so try to get along with him. A skeleton wearing a robe. A skeleton mage. A skill that scammer Ahimbi gave me. The more I master it, the higher level spells I'll be able to cast. Jaehyun held his head. That's an amazing skill, but it burns through a lot of mana. I don't have enough. Anyway, what we're hunting today. A bony hand rose from the mud. Is that? A skeleton stumbled out of the mud, twisting its body. Level 33 skeleton soldier. The rest of the skeletons were completely bewildered. Jaehyun called out, "It's here." He turned to them and asked, "What are you guys doing?" "Go hunt it." The skeleton soldiers seemed to freeze for a split second. Jaehyun sighed. Maybe once the fight starts, you'll realize undead monsters have different properties than regular ones. The skeletons were scattering everywhere, trembling. He had to yell, "What are you doing?" Jaehyun snapped his fingers to take control. "I'm being serious here. Don't waste time. We've got a lot of work to do." He directed his skeletons. "One of you charge, hurry up, go fight." The skeleton charged and took a massive hit, losing half its body. The terrifying pressure around the new skeleton seemed to freeze space itself. It swung its arm, but the other skeleton didn't even flinch. Jaehyun reminded them, "That's right, normal attacks won't work, that's why." He summoned a rare mage's club from the system with plus 35 strength. With one strike, the bones shattered and flew everywhere. The skull went flying far away. "Where did it go?" he said, satisfied. "A critical hit, nice one." He pointed at the downed skeleton. "See, you need to hit it hard in the head and—" His other skeleton soldiers looked down, clutching their heads in panic. Jaehyun asked, "What are you guys doing?" He leaned on his club. "Anyway, the goal today is to take down 100 skeletons in 100 minutes. I'm making a speedrun video here." He sighed. "And if we don't succeed—" A wicked fire ignited within him, his eyes glowing as he turned to them. "I'm leaving you all here." Hearing that, the skeletons were heartbroken and ran off. The quest officially began. The system notified him repeatedly. 1 skeleton destroyed. Level up. Jaehyun was very pleased. "Awesome." He laughed out loud while wielding his club. "I thought it would take them longer. To get used to weapons they've never used before? Who knew they'd adapt faster than expected?" This video is going to be a massive success. I should contact Roman first. His eyes went wide and his whole face froze in shock. A skeleton with intense killing intent was rushing toward him, its whole body, emanating powerful combat energy, even wearing armor. Level 35 skeleton. His jaw dropped. That's a skeleton, a rare monster that spawns randomly, and he thought defeating that skeleton would bring a huge reward. He could go buy beef to eat. He shouted, "Catch it, my beef!" Jaehyun imagined the victory. "What should I eat first? Should I make a steak or just grill it? Bulgogi beef sounds good too." He heroically charged with his club. The impact created a massive shockwave as if it wanted to destroy everything around it. The energy was way too intense. He winced. "That was too scary. I almost died before I could even do anything." The skeleton's arm was broken in two. He breathed a sigh of relief. "Thank God I aimed for its arm first." Jaehyun watched the fierce skeleton charge at him again. "Well then, what I need to do now is—" In a flash, he and his skeletons charged in to fight. Destruction attacks, a full-on assault ensued. Jaehyun wore a satisfied smile and looked over. "You guys okay?" The skeleton roared. He stood there watching. "Easier than I thought." Another one came charging in with full intensity. He stood calmly smiling. "Why are you in such a rush?" In the distance, there was another skeleton, bursting with flames, walking erratically toward him. The skeleton in the middle of the battlefield looked down at its prey with contempt, its eyes glowing purple. It threw a massive fireball covering the space in red light. Within those raging flames, it rushed out like a high-level beast. The system notified him, "You have destroyed the skeleton. You have received experience points." He stood watching the defeated skeleton in the fire. "I'm grinning because this video is definitely going to hit at least 10,000 views. Jaehyun happily rubs his chin. "Now I'm even hungrier. I guess I'll just grill some beef." System alert. A sub-area has detected the death of a subordinate. What the red alert keeps blaring repeatedly. The same area where the intruder was detected. Wait, the same area, something is awakening. A pair of bright neon yellow hands are slowly emerging. Everywhere they appear, they radiate a brilliant golden aura. This thing is truly the king of all bone soldiers. It looks so fierce and noble. Jaehyun's eyes go wide like he's just struck gold. What the? The killing intent is exploding like a tsunami. What a level 40 gold bone soldier. Within its body it feels like an ancient beast, the type of monster from the Forest of Death. And it's also the first monster of the mage class. This is a much more powerful beast, infamous by the name Newbie Killer. Jaehyun smirks. Now that I think about it, the condition for it to appear was destroying a massive amount of bone soldiers. I didn't even think that far ahead. I'm not sure I can take it down, but if I do, I'll hit the jackpot. Jaehyun quickly figures out a plan and turns around. I've got it. If I maximize the buffs for my bone soldiers, maybe wait the bone soldiers, they've vanished into thin air, leaving only a fading breeze. The system notification leaves Jaehyun standing there in shock. Summoning cancelled due to insufficient mana. He clutches his head and screams in desperation. Jaehyun collapses devastated. I guess that makes sense. I summoned all four, and even made the mages use a ton of spells. How could I possibly have any mana left? He stares at the gold bone soldier and sighs. There's no other way. He twists his watch and flashes a provocative grin. It's been a while since I had a chance to warm up. Excitement bubbles up in him. He grabs his weapon and charges forward, each step heavy. Every stride carries the pressure of an apex predator at the top of the food chain. The battle between the gold bone soldier and Jaehyun. Let's do this. Both sides prepare to clash. It charges like a hurricane, bringing absolute destruction. Its massive claws effortlessly crush everything in their path. Sparks from the attacks flash repeatedly in the gloomy night. Jaehyun dodges quickly, laughing nervously. One hit from that and I'm definitely dead. And it's firing off a barrage of them. No wonder they call it the newbie killer. The gold bone soldier's energy sparks shine brightly. Jaehyun is flustered. If I just let it cast spells like that, I don't stand a chance. I've got to win. He runs fast as the wind, if that's how it is. He lunges forward with his mace. I just need to stop it from casting. One strike shatters the gold bone soldier's hand. It winces and lets out a roar, its energy source crumbling. Jaehyun rushes in with terrifying speed. His swing creates a fierce shockwave. So its hands are linked to the spells, huh? He wears a twisted grin. Then, breaking all its hands should finish it. Each roar echoes, making the mountains and forests tremble. The system warns boss monster detected. The gold bone soldier clasps its hands together. Boss monster skill cooldown complete. Insight activated. The boss is calculating your skill level. The gold bone soldier taps its fingers rapidly. Its savage gaze makes Jaehyun tremble. He's worried. What is that? What does this mean? Bursts of air pressure explode, shaking space violently. Sparks and energy collide, creating intense shockwaves. Jaehyun turns and runs. What the heck is this? He is extremely anxious. Damn it. It's catching up to me. His eyes are wild with panic, as if he's witnessing a nightmare. Thousands of energy blasts appear and attack all at once. Jaehyun trips and rolls onto the ground. He stands there paralyzed, his gaze full of despair. He turns back to look at the sea of energy unleashed by the gold bone soldier. What kind of insane pattern is this that I don't remember? He pants heavily. Did I remember it wrong? Does the gold bone soldier have a hidden pattern? Or was there a balance update like with the Minotaur? He laughs nervously. I don't know. I haven't hunted a gold bone soldier in years. Jaehyun's hand grips his weapon. Fighting is such a pain without my summoned bone soldiers, and I can't remember all the patterns. The whole battlefield descends into chaos. The gold bone soldier is too strong. How can I possibly beat this thing? It charges at him. Jaehyun bites his lip. Looks like I have to try everything. Two forces collide in midair, creating a chaotic energy storm. Jaehyun looks into its center. I can dodge it as long as I know the trajectory, but the problem is I have no time to counterattack. While being attacked, he has to keep thinking. I have to find the blind spot. His face shows a mix of confusion and disbelief. Jaehyun has been caught right in the gold bone soldier's palm. It screams, lifting him high into the air, bringing him close to its face. Jaehyun lets his guard down. Oh man. A golden light radiates from the gold bone soldier's body, carrying a divine feeling. Just how many patterns does this guy have? What kind of heavy-handed game is this? I'm lucky, but you know what? I have a trump card too. Jaehyun flashes a strange smile and casts a curse, Demon's Curse. The system reports, target's stats reduced by 13%. The gold bone soldier unexpectedly relaxes its grip, giving Jaehyun a chance to dive down. He surges with energy and leaps up. I don't know how I got an opening, but it gave me a lightning-fast punch. He slams his fist straight into its core. Eat this. A brilliant aura explodes, shaking the earth. The gold bone soldier's energy source vanishes, and its bones shatter into pieces. Jaehyun smiles in satisfaction. Boss defeated. The dark energy around its body dissipates, leaving the battlefield in ruins. The system announces, "You have slain the Gold Bone Soldier." Received experience, 979,636. Earned title Bone Soldier Destroyer, level up. He laughs in relief, his eyes filled with joy after the life-or-death battle. What a joy it shows in every breath. That was so dangerous. Another 10 minutes and I would have been done for. Deactivating. The system displays the status window again. Status Jaehyun. Level 36. Class Necromancer. Title 9. Stats. Strength 109. Stamina 35. Intelligence 101. Mana 141. The feeling of victory. It makes the atmosphere feel lighter than ever. Level 36. Niece Jaehyun is still quite worried. Of course, at this rate I'm in trouble. Mana at 141. That's not a low number considering. I invested the minimum points, but it's still not enough. Until now, thanks to leveling up fast and the titles I've managed to get by. But now I have to use more skills. That's not enough. I leveled up my strength for the Bone Soldiers, but if they're dead, what's the point? I've already grabbed every mana-related title available at this stage. I want better gear, but I'm broke. Damn it, I don't know what to do. Jaehyun skips along happily. Now I'll send the video to Romani and grind to level 40. Today I'm having beef noodles. Your video is being reviewed. The boss has been defeated. The video pauses at the exact moment of your victory. Romani watches intently, then slams her hand on the desk in excitement. She's losing it. She stands up, jumping for joy. He defeated a high-level boss without taking a single hit, and he did it on the fly without any practice. What a talent. Romani leans back into her chair. The raw footage is already perfect, no need for much editing. I should send him the final version. She starts typing on the keyboard. What should the title be? The Bone Soldier Ruler. Soloing everything. The keyboard clacks away rapidly. Romani's face beams with excitement as she hits enter. Okay, nailed it. The solo Emperor of Conquest at the Ben's Castle branch. A familiar voice rings out from behind. Like I said, I've gotten stronger. Get back here. Himiri doesn't seem surprised at all. You finally made it back. As soon as he turns around, he asks, What's with that look? You look like a beggar. Jaehyun looks like a total mess. It's hard to even look at him. Jaehyun thinks, Whose fault do you think that is? Give me my reward. Himiri chuckles generously and hands it over. Here's the reward I promised. A notification pops up instantly. Quest Himiri's teaching 2 completed. You have received the skill book Bone Mastery. He can't help but be surprised by this gift. Bone Mastery. Jaehyun stares at the notification panel in front of him. It's an exclusive necromancer skill that you can't buy no matter how much money you have. Bone Mastery. All Bone Soldiers' stats increase by 5%. Mana consumption for summoning and maintaining Bone Soldiers decreases by 10%. You can summon 1 additional Bone Soldier. Mana consumption decreased by 10%. Exactly what I needed. The thing that drains my mana? He's as ecstatic as if he'd just struck gold. Thank you. But the old man holds out his hand. And now something else. Himiri's expression turns serious. The Ring of the Fallen Hunter. It uses the fallen stone you brought back. It was crafted to seal the power of the fallen. By reversing it once more. Item information updated. Ring of the Fallen Hunter exclusive. Chronicle. Quest-related stats, all stats +2. Total stats +9. When worn with the necklace of the Fallen Hunter, add 21 stat points. Jaehyun's breath seems to hitch for a few seconds. His eyes shine like stars. It's the Ring of the Fallen Hunter. It's overpowered gear only given to those who clear the main quest early. It's right here. Jaehyun can't wait any longer. He jumps to grab it. Thank you. But the old man pulls his hand back, acting all high and mighty. Thinking about it, I don't think I can just give this away for free. He looks suspiciously at the man's retreating back. What do you mean? Himiri looks incredibly punchable. Catch me if you can? Jaehyun lets out a laugh and a sigh. This master, seriously? His whole body starts to undergo a change. If I catch you, you're dead. Eventually, the ring lands in Jaehyun's hands. He's exhausted, gasping for air. That guy is clearly insane. Is that really a Grand Archmage? If he weren't an NPC, I would have PK'd him right on the spot. Anyway, I safely got the ring and even the next quest. Right then, the old man was still lounging around giving instructions about something related to Agent Miji, and some sudden chaos at Iron Rock. Looks like I have to head to Suryu Castle. Jae-hyun clenches his fist. I'll let it slide just this once. After saying that, he starts thinking about the main issue. Surryu Castle is a fairly high-level area. I'll have to grind for levels while traveling there. Jae-hyun looks suspiciously at a new notification. Romani Hayakan Jae-hyun. It's me, Emergency Jae-hyun. I just uploaded the Golden Bone Soldier video to YouTube. Go see for yourself. Yasa, Amatsiupao. On the other end, a post is trending online. Warlord soloing Emperor. Holy crap. It's 20 minutes long, but it flew by. This is insane. So many legendary moments. The start of a legend. People are flooding in to donate V10,000, bro, you're crazy. Upload more. V5,000, gotta donate for this. 1,000, so awesome. V50,000, you're so cool, let's be friends. Finally looking at the revenue analysis, V1 million. This astronomical figure leaves Jae-hyun dazed. What the? He freezes for a long time, unable to react. Jae-hyun is so shocked he falls backward onto the ground. He sits there counting every single digit, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 zeros. Jae-hyun suddenly blurts out random things. Tomahawk steak, prime ribeye, tenderloin, strip loin. How about shoulder brisket, high-end short ribs? Ika dried sushi, fish guts, lobster, freshwater, shrimp, salmon. Anyway, enough money to eat all sorts of expensive, delicious food. Have some dignity, will you? He wipes his drool. This is a jackpot, damn it. I knew I did a good job, but to this extent, did it get posted in some major communities? Jae-hyun happily taps away at something. No more time, logging out for a break. Just then a notification popped up and caught his eye. It was a recruitment message from the Thunder Hunter Guild. The offer 1 million VK. Hello, Mask. Haha, 2AKAN. I've tried sending you messages many times with no response, so I'm leaving this comment to be direct. The Thunder Hunter Guild wants to recruit you. When can we discuss the details? Jae-hyun repeated the name with suspicion. A proposal from the Thunder Hunters. He started rambling to himself again, getting angry. The Thunder Hunters, the Guild of Chaeseon. Jae-hyun despised those memories with everything he had. Before the regression, they were already hounding me. Seleon wore a cold expression, going around asking people, will you be my teammate? And then asking another group, come on, be my teammates. Back then I had to struggle and run away, and I told them no. Those crazy jerks, I was so furious I wanted to curse them out. You guys never change, do you get lost? Even if you put a blade to my throat, there is no way I'm joining the Lightning Hunters. I will never join the Lightning Hunters. Suddenly he paused. Now that he thought about it, it felt like he had said that before. It was a fragmented memory so annoying. Jae-hyun waved his hands, showing his frustration. I said no. Why does she have to be so persistent? And she's even propositioning someone who already has a party. So annoying. Kang Leon hung his head in sadness. You're so lucky, man. The Lightning Hunters are a top 30 guild. It was hard to tell what he was feeling at that moment. Their Queen Sally is the daughter of a filthy rich tycoon. I heard you could earn a 6-figure salary there. He asked skeptically, what? The person next to Kang Leon added, with Jae-hyun's skills, of course, they want you. He gave a bitter smile. He's insanely good at the game. Even when we edit our videos, the comments are all about Jae-hyun. Michael suddenly chimed in. To be honest, he's out of our league. Jae-hyun impatiently cut him off. Enough. He frowned, feeling really bothered. Forget the 6-figure salary. I'm not joining the Lightning Hunters. We'll become the strongest and the money will follow. Why worry about it? Jae-hyun's last words took him by surprise. I'd rather have fun with our own party than... Michael laughed, but his heart wasn't in it. You're right. He held his head suddenly, realizing, now that I think about it ever since then, Jae-hyun felt like he had completely collapsed. That's why you guys backstabbed me. But not long after, he pulled himself together. A flash of determination sparked in Jae-hyun's eyes. Right now isn't the time to dream about spending money. He stood up, leaving that pain behind. There was so much more to do. He couldn't let it end like this. Jae-hyun clenched his shoulders, swearing that all the money he earned. A massive explosion erupted. I'll invest every bit of it to get stronger. The skeleton soldiers gradually emerged from the hazy blue smoke. They waved their arms to express an opinion, but he brushed them off. I already took down that golden skeleton soldier, you idiots, Jae-hyun commanded, giving them a heads up. From today on, we're going back to basics. We need to practice optimal movement. We can't let what happened last time happen again. This time, he wouldn't be weak anymore. Are you guys ready? Right? A flash of unhappy memories came flooding back. Jae-hyun, come on! Everyone is tired. Let's take a break. The guy next to him sounded even more annoyed. Do we really have to go this far? We aren't you. But now, these skeleton soldiers were obediently doing exactly as they were told. Jae-hyun smiled slightly. This time it's different. He let go of everything in an instant. Let's go. Jae-hyun was full of confidence about the future that lay ahead. To become the strongest, then he turned back to remind them, and from here, we're heading to our next destination, Suryo Fortress. Naturally, we'll be training on the way. The skeleton soldiers, unsure if they understood anything, still coordinated by nodding. Jae-hyun said very lightly, simple training. We're running straight there. And a second later, he was holding his weapon, and anyone who falls behind gets a taste of the stick. Aside from that chilling sound, everything returned to peace. On the other side, Selian seemed lost in thought. Just then, Hichi approached and asked, "What are you thinking about?" "Looking at that powerful woman standing on the peak, Miss Sally." He pulled his hat down lower. "It's time for the meeting." "Is Hichi affiliated with the Lightning Hunters, jumping down from that pile?" "How is the corrupted Count quest progressing?" Hichi reported the progress of the search, still no leads. "We haven't found any clues to move on to the next mission." Selian frowned, full of annoyance. Losing the main quest to something like Hydra is so humiliating. He still tried to explain. "But I believe we'll find something soon. You should head to the top 30 Guildmasters meeting now." She, however, didn't pay any attention to those words. Just a bunch of idiots arguing, what's the point? Heichi helplessly concluded that she remained as cold as ever. Suddenly he said something cryptic. "Either way, take care of yourself." The heavy door opened, leaving only an echoing sound. Thanks to a viral video on YouTube, the Guildmaster had struck gold. Jae-hyun had pocketed a fortune overnight, a total of 1 million VK. He had practically squandered all the money he'd just earned. But right at that moment, his old nemesis had stirred the embers of hatred within Jae-hyun, and so he decided to embark on the path of a wild beast. Eager to see what he'd do first, the heavy backpack thudded onto the ground with a loud bang. He stood tall, acting superior. "Here is the entire debt, including the interest." Jae-hyun threw the pile of cash down. "Tear up my contract, will you?" Goodbye, loan shark debt. Next, he bought a few rare skill books and casually asked himself, now what? Jae-hyun leaned against a tree. Miserable, he was broke again. Balance 0. The sky was bright white with fluffy clouds, while he just held his head in his hands, leaving the skeletons confused. They already saw this coming, but seeing the empty balance was truly painful. Jae-hyun just put on a brave face. The smile was still there, but there was no time to complain. Let's try out the new skills. He pressed his hand onto a nearby book. A flash of light appeared along with a notification. You have learned the skill Skin Graft. A new piece of information popped up. Skin Graft Rank F. Passive skill increases defense. By attaching monster parts to the player's skin, if the attached material is damaged by accumulated attacks, it needs to be replaced. Jae-hyun rubbed his chin, pondering. So it's like an upgrade. He didn't wait any longer. It was time for a test. A notification changed. Do you want to use the skeleton's remains to strengthen yourself? Jae-hyun didn't hesitate at all. Yes. Very quickly, an invisible armor wrapped around him. The essence of the skeleton seeped into 2 AKAN. Defense +5. Jae-hyun pensively observed his hands. Then he raised his hand and summoned a sword. Jaeon was definitely trying to test the durability of this skin. He laughed excitedly like a thief feeling absolutely nothing. This is even better than I imagined. Jae-hyun's hand touched another book. All right, let's keep going. The system worked very quickly. You have learned the skill, Curse of Slowness. Curse of Slowness Rank F. Curses the target, slowing down their movement. The larger and stronger the target, the more mana it consumes, and the shorter the duration. He rubbed his chin again, thinking, slows down their movements, huh? Suddenly, Jae-hyun looked to the side. Without a word, he used the technique. This will be useful in battle. And now only one book remained. Now for the final skill. Jae-hyun smiled expectantly. You have learned the skill Golem Summoning. It was the trickiest skill. The ground suddenly cracked into pieces. This is also what I've been craving the most. Rocks flew into the air before the skeptical eyes of the skeletons. He sweated, still trying to act cool. My first summon. A giant stone man gradually emerged. A golem. Jae-hyun was overjoyed. This is what it feels like to be a true necromancer. Looking at that massive physique, it was stronger than even top-tier machinery. He snapped his fingers to activate the other thing. The most important part is, a blue light suddenly appeared on its body. Golem copy mode. That beam of light seemed to link the golem with Jaehyun. He smiled confidently, connection mode syncing the golem's movements with mine. Jian clenched his fist. Combining my speed and its power. He threw a punch that looked quite powerful. It should have created a super effect, but the golem just stood there blankly staring at Jaehyun. He panicked and started clicking around. Even the skeletons were speechless. Why isn't it working? Jaehyun couldn't help but blush because he had been so confident. It's a bug. Definitely a bug. Right at that moment, the golem's body suddenly gave a shake. To everyone's eyes, it slowly wound up its fist and then pulled it back. Only then did he realize, wait, was that actually its maximum speed? Jaehyun was so pissed he couldn't help but laugh. What kind of broken joke is this? He clutched his chest silently, screaming at this obsolete buggy game world. Elsewhere, an indifferent voice echoed, looks like everyone's finally here. The pitch-black space around them flickered and suddenly burst into light. Shall we start the meeting? Nigo spoke up politely. Thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules. Nigo, the president of the Ares Guild, smirked as he continued, look at that, the usual faces. Matador, president of the Red Bull Guild, just stood there with a gloomy expression, letting out a heavy sigh before falling silent. Then there was the president of the Bib Smile Guild, and the last one who hadn't spoken yet, the Queen of Lightning, Lei Chi. The president of the Lightning God Guild spoke up, sounding clearly annoyed. Out of the 29 people invited, only 4 showed up. How crowded. You're still as cheerful as ever, aren't you? Really, I think this is already surprisingly good. He cut in, it's not every day you see representatives from the 30 biggest guilds sitting at one table. It's a rare event. I've truly never seen anything like this. The top 30 strongest guilds, known as the Emperor Guilds, usually only cared about fighting over resources and power. Nego's face darkened, bringing up the issue. Normally, nobody has the spare time to sit around drinking tea like this, but his eyes flashed with killing intent. Our guild has discovered the true identity of the corrupt lord, and they are planning their final attack within the next month. In contrast, Matador remained incredibly relaxed. That's some explosive news. While we haven't found a single lead, if what you're saying is true, then Hydra has hit the jackpot. A sudden angry slam on the table echoed through the room. Cut the crap, he spat out through gritted teeth. Once they take down the corrupt lord, it's all over. From then on, they'll dominate the entire main quest line. Just think about the sponsorship money, the ad revenue, and the content that will follow. But Celian coldly cut him off. She radiated even more intense killing intent. Stop the constant whining and go crawl back to your hole. Don't just stand there and spout nonsense. Naturally, he wasn't about to lose to a girl. What exactly are you looking for? Queen Lei Chi, ever the optimist, stood between them to mediate. Oh my, calm down, you two. We aren't here to argue. Nego agreed wholeheartedly. Exactly. Bickering only makes it easier for Hydra to win. His expression turned serious. That is why today I propose an alliance against Hydra to you all. Nego calmly dropped a bombshell. The 4 guilds present here will avoid all armed conflict with each other and share every piece of information regarding the corrupt lord from now until the corrupt lord chapter ends. Of course, he still had to ask, is there anyone opposed to this? Matador naturally had only one answer. I don't really like these shady alliance deals. But fine, whatever. The person across from him looked a bit worried. Call it whatever you want. But if we don't stop Hydra now, we're all finished. Having received the answer he wanted, Nego made his decision. Then the meeting concludes here. Elsewhere, water poured down from a showerhead onto a flawless, pale body. Celian hung her head in self-reproach. How pathetic, to have fallen so far that we have to form an alliance with others. Just because we couldn't clear a boss in the first chapter, but now we have no other choice. If Hydra captures the corrupt lord, there won't be another chance. Now is the time to act carefully and plan the next step. She picked up the phone to call someone. From now on, I require all members to monitor Hydra and report their every move. Celian's eyes flashed with sharpness. We will take down the corrupt lord no matter the cost. Elsewhere, at the Hunter Association's branch in Suryu, Jaehyun stood blankly still, unable to process what he'd heard. What, say that again? Where do you want me to go? The person across from him repeated patiently. I said you must go to the Bover Forest. That is where Special Agent Miji disappeared. Check that area and bring back any leads you can find. He tried to argue back, but Jae-hyun hurriedly explained, Bover Forest is full of level 70 monsters. That's a death zone. I'll be torn to shreds the moment I step inside. He sighed, feeling a bit helpless. That is precisely why you need to go. As the disciple of Master Ahimri, you will go to Bover Forest or else. A single sentence made him pale. I will strip you of your fallen tracker title. Jae-hyun screamed, What? The morning light hit the clock tower, creating a peaceful scene. By the fountain, a young man was clutching his head in agony. It was Jae-hyun. What kind of nonsense is this? He shouted in frustration as the quest window appeared. The notification displayed as follows. Find Miji. Locate the missing agent Miji, who is investigating the evil stone, and accept his quest. Reward 500 gold plus penalties. Penalty title of Fallen Hunter will be revoked if not completed on time. Time remaining 29 days, 9 hours, and 33 minutes. Jae-hyun couldn't hold his tongue in his anger. If I lose the Fallen Hunter title, I'll be locked out of the main quest line. The difficulty is insane. What is this? He suddenly panicked. It seemed that taking on all those quests beyond his capabilities had finally caught up to him. Normally, Jae-hyun wouldn't have been able to complete them at all, but somehow he had managed. And continuing with the next quest right now, please go to Bover Forest. Jae-hyun had gotten himself into a quest meant for level 60 and above. He really couldn't wrap his head around how to handle this. He couldn't just give up on the main quest, but there was no way he could enter Bover Forest. Suddenly, he heard a guy nearby say, Do you think the Hydra Guild will clear the main quest line? If they pull it off, they'll definitely surpass every other guild. The girl across from him looked just as interested. The rest of the top 30 guilds are struggling just to even start that quest line. Suddenly, he remembered something. But wait. A direct thought made Jae-hyun's heart stop. What if the Fallen Count gets taken down? If that happens, what about all the other main quest lines currently in progress? A twisted, cunning smile spread across Jae-hyun's lips. Perhaps he didn't need to go to the Bororu Forest after all. Elsewhere, an ancient castle was brought into view through someone's binoculars. Nothing unusual today, Vision said to his teammate while keeping watch. Our mission is finally about to end. Just sitting here all day guarding this castle is driving me crazy. You think so too, right? He looked over at Nato. Nato was the 8th-ranked commander in Hydra, and Vision was the type who could talk about absolutely anything. I wonder what the reward for taking down the Fallen Count will be. The Hydra Guild will surely rise to the top right. Nato, who was more patient, pulled back the binoculars. Don't get ahead of yourself. We're not done here yet. Our mission is to secretly monitor the Fallen Count's castle. He was clearly very aware of his duties. We cannot afford to be careless. Any leak of information, a true professional knows how to stay calm. Just then, a loudmouth rushed over. Found you, Nato of Hydra! Nato's temper flared instantly. What was that? The guy who just arrived was Kim, 3rd rank of the Red Bulls. Long time no see, hey hello. He pointed at the other man, trembling. What are the Red Bulls doing here? Kim, however, was extremely cheerful. The boss on this mountain is a high-level one, so I'm on my way to take it down. Isn't that why you guys are here too? The two exchanged glances. We can't, Nato replied evasively. True. Kim leaned in, observing them closely. You don't look so good. Do you need to go outside and handle things? Nato, furious, snapped back. There's no such thing. Kim simply filled in the blanks himself. Okay, so it's urgent then. With that, Kim waved his hand and left. I'm off. Feel free to relieve some stress. Nato couldn't take it anymore and wanted to lunge at him. Hey, I told you no. Get back here. Vision tried his best to hold him back. Nato finally turned away. Leaving a furious Nato behind, Kim walked to a secluded spot and tapped his watch. It turned out he had been sent to scout the 8th commander of Hydra who was stationed there. Looks like the intel we got was true. Elsewhere, a voice echoed. Boss Matador raised an eyebrow. Even with a beauty by his side, he looked annoyed. No way. He stared at the information displayed on the screen ahead, anonymous intel regarding the Fallen Count's location. Ree leaned over to look as well. I was sure it was just a prank, even though we checked just in case. She turned to the person beside her. They provided us with such crucial information, yet they kept their name hidden and did it for free. What could their motive be? Matador stroked his chin. No matter how I think about it, it doesn't add up. It's unclear. Perhaps it's a Hydra Guild member who has a grievance. The voice on the other end of the communicator rang out again. Hey, we're not in a position to be picky right now. We're about to lose everything to the Hydra Guild. Kim smiled sinisterly. So should I go cause a scene to buy us some time? The boss blocked him, offering a different suggestion. No, for now, just step back. If that is truly the Fallen Count's castle, I believe most of the Hydra forces are concentrated there. Back on the other side, Matador was still talking. We cannot afford to lose our main force at this moment. He bowed his head, slightly frustrated. You're embarrassing me. Kim was still talking, not noticing what was above his head. Without me, the Red Bulls wouldn't even collapse. A single sword strike made the ground cave in. The two on the other end of the communicator knew something had happened and hurriedly called out for Kim, but at that moment a sharp blade was pressed against his neck. It seems we weren't the only ones who knew that information, boss. Kim, of course, recognized his opponent, the mad dog Hahui. Ha-ha-hui, I mean the princess of the Lightning Hunter Guild has arrived. Hahui smiled, saying nothing about the nickname. Spill everything if you don't want to die. This is the Lightning Princess Hahui of the Lightning Hunter Guild. Elsewhere, the bear man roared, charging forward, and the golem opposite him was no slouch either. Even though the golem blocked the next punch, its arm shattered in the process. Afterward, the golem could only obediently take the hits, but suddenly its eyes flashed with a blue light. The golem suddenly became more energetic and struck first, but after waiting and waiting, its fist stayed in one place. The bear, thinking he was being teased angrily, landed a few more hits while Jaehyun was observing his mailbox. No response. Why is it so quiet? Jaehyun muttered to himself, confused. I clearly sent the letter. I should have received a reply by now. Jaehyun's gaze shifted slightly. The only way to solve this, without going to the Bororu forest, was he dared to think of a monumental possibility that would force the quest to end. The main part of the quest chain in Wallet focused on a series of current characters. The first chapter was unfolding, telling the story of that depraved count. And when he is defeated, this chapter will end and all related quests will have to stop immediately. Jaehyun rubbed his head, annoyed. Even if I were to face him myself, in such a limited time, success is unimaginable. It's much better to use that time to start the next chapter. He cursed loudly. So no matter who it is, I just need someone to defeat him. Is that why I spread the news everywhere? Why hasn't anyone replied? Just then, Jaehyun's eyes flickered slightly. The notification on the screen had changed. The Hydra Guild's official channel just started a live stream. On the other side, the golem's hand crumbled into pieces and it struggled to get back up. The bear attacked while the golem wasn't paying attention. He suddenly jumped down and gave the bear a loving punch. Shut up, Jaehyun said expressionlessly, brushing the dust off his hands. I need to watch this live stream. Stop making noise. They all huddled together. The host excitedly welcomed everyone. Welcome, viewers. We, the Hydra Guild, are the pioneers in uncovering the history of the Fallen Count. And we have a plan to surround and capture him, he drawled. The expected time for the raid is... He broke into a sweat, praying silently, please let it be this month. Come on. The skeletons and the golem were also caught up in the tense atmosphere surrounding Jaehyun. Right now, the host's voice rang out, 3 days from now. A weight lifted off Jaehyun's heart. 3 days sooner than he expected, but not that surprising. Just as he predicted. Suddenly he froze, his smile stiffening. Then Jaehyun laughed, a smile even more cunning than before. In 3 days, huh? Great. Beside him, the bear and the golem started a new round of sparring. While the skeletons were gossiping, he fell into deep thought. 3 days. That's fast. They must be getting nervous because I leaked information to other guilds even though it hasn't happened yet. Jaehyun was already thinking ahead. If it's Hydra, I don't have to worry. They're ahead of other guilds in the main quest's progress and have many skilled players. Once the main quest ends, my biggest obstacle will disappear. In 3 days, my happy life begins. On the other screen, a soldier fell to the ground with his mouth agape. A bright red notification covered the entire screen. Failure. All members of the Hydra Guild have been killed. He turned to stone on the spot. His phone was tossed aside by Jaehyun without a hint of mercy. Are you kidding me? He pointed at the screen and cursed. If you were going to do it early, you should have had a detailed plan. If you're going to fail in just 1 hour, why even bother rushing in? Jaehyun slumped, looking up at the sky. Did I overestimate them? Should I start looking for replacements? Just then, a new notification appeared. Red Bull Guild had started a live stream. He flipped over, a glimmer of hope rising in his chest. Wait, isn't Red Bull where Matador is? Don't tell me. Inside the game world, a massive knight stood amidst the ruins. Since the battlefield has reset, Hydra must have failed. Matador smiled, his tone clearly threatening. Warriors, did you see what happened? Everyone is watching him. He is a powerful enemy strong enough to wipe out the Hydra Guild. Not only that, but we don't have enough supplies. Our chances of success are very low. He slammed his heavy sword into the ground, creating a large crater, but Matador clasped his hands together. Red Bull will accept the challenge, everyone shouted in unison as if they'd been pumped full of adrenaline. Back in reality, Jae-hyun was speechless. Red Bull, are they planning to start right away, even if Red Bull is there? He wasn't sure for a second, but then his eyes widened. Wait, let me introduce you to the teammate who will be joining us on this raid. Long, slender legs slowly came into frame. The guild leader of Silver Wing, her cape fluttering in the wind, her prideful gaze impossible to hide, the Silver Queen Chelyeon. Jae-hyun was stunned, completely caught off guard. What? The woman on screen walked with confidence, her radiant smile mocking Jae-hyun. Night had fallen. Inside the camp, lights were lit everywhere. Matador sighed. What a surprise. He looked at the woman in front of him. I never thought the Silver Queen would personally ask for a meeting. But Matador's gaze hardened. Don't tell me you intend to declare war on us. Celian smiled and waved her hand. Of course not, we're allies now. He smirked, glancing at the person behind her. Is that so? I heard one of your people was beaten pretty badly. She nonchalantly let the girl behind her run wild. That was nothing. That was just our way of greeting you. Celian adjusted her sitting posture. Anyway, let's just talk. She rested her chin on her hand, still sporting that confident, fearless look. I heard you have information about the fallen count. Matador turned his face away, intentionally avoiding the topic. Celian seemed to be losing patience. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have time to joke around with you. Let's get straight to the point. I've confirmed that several people from the top 30 guilds have received information about the fallen count. Celian said, not hiding a thing. For someone like you, you haven't even started tracking. And the whereabouts of the count. Even an idiot would notice. He felt a bit helpless before her sharp wit. You really make me worry. You're right. However, we don't know exactly who leaked the information to us. She smiled, her eyes darkening slightly. So next question, do you think the Hydra Guild can do it? Matador still couldn't take her seriously. Not sure. But Celian asserted without a moment's hesitation, they will fail. She began to analyze every move those people made. They rushed the raid date because they wanted to be the first. The Fallen Count is the first main quest boss, it won't be easy. They would have had a much better chance if they let other guilds try first and just gathered information. By now, he wasn't joking around anymore. I'm sure you aren't here just to talk about the Hydra Guild. What are you up to this time? Celian just smiled without saying a word. Suddenly, she plunged her sharp sword into the table. So this was how Celian chose to start the conversation. Let's cooperate on the raid against the Fallen Count. How about that? Confident enough to guarantee I will help you claim the first kill. This sudden change left Matador stunned. I thought she was just bragging back then. Returning to the present, he wiped the sweat from his forehead. Matador looked at that woman carving through monsters as if they were nothing but iron, and he couldn't help but marvel that she truly had the skills to back up her words. Before long, the whole group was in deep trouble, but the Fallen Count just smiled, mocking them. Not bad for a bunch of pathetic little pests like you, and you're the Fallen Count's main mission, aren't you? The final boss of Chapter 1 waved his hand, sending his monsters into a frenzy. I will crush every last one of you. Naturally, on the other side, everyone braced themselves and charged forward bravely. The monsters swarmed them again. Keep them back. Jae-hyun gritted her teeth, surveying the situation. Our forces have reached their limit. Even Celian looked stressed at this point. There were just too many of them. Suddenly, Matador leaped to the front, glancing back to confirm, Thunder Empress, I'll clear the path for you. With that, Matador swung his sword with immense power. Go! Without a moment's hesitation, she shot forward. The Fallen Count roared in fury. How dare you! Celian dodged the tentacles with difficulty, finally leaping up with one target in mind. With a sharp gaze, she muttered, It's over. But in a split second, a giant tentacle pierced her from the side. Celian hung there high in the air, looking like she was facing an execution. Matador screamed in panic, trying to wake her. Thunder Empress. Her mouth covered in blood, her body hanging limp. Yet in the blink of an eye, thousands of sword strikes rained down. Thank goodness those cold, sharp eyes were still open. A single slash tore the fallen count in two. The strike even caused a massive shockwave. He sighed and couldn't help but smile. Man, she's really something else, Matador thought, looking the other way. She's even more terrifying than I imagined. The system quickly issued a notification Hongwu and Thunderleap had defeated the fallen count. Meanwhile, back in reality, Jaehyun was frozen in shock. Kellyan defeated this fallen count. He pursed his lips, his thoughts unreadable. Then Jaehyun slowly stood up. It doesn't matter. All that matters is that the fallen count was defeated. It doesn't matter who took him down. He turned back toward the light, enjoying the moment while he could. The fallen count was the last boss you could take. He said that, but his hands had been clenched tight for a long time. Jaehyun thought of Sellyan, determined that he would be the one to win in the end. He looked up at the sky as if making a silent vow to himself. I will. This vast, wide-open landscape was the Vulcan Mountains. The person who had just jumped was Jaehyun. In the game, he went by the name Tuakan, for some unknown reason. He had become a pro gamer for Wallet. Jaehyun's dream was to become the strongest player in this game, and to take revenge on those bastards who ruined his life. Just as he was excitedly jumping along, Jaehyun paused. Wait, why was there a whole herd of giant boars following them? Is everything just going to end like this? A few hours earlier. Footsteps echoed loudly. He had finally arrived. He stood proudly before a glowing red barrier. The area was sealed off. This was the entrance to the Vulcan Mountains. Jaehyun carefully observed the locked area. Until certain conditions were met, he tried knocking on the barrier a few times. No one was getting in. Jaehyun smiled faintly without a hint of worry. But little did he know there was a secret about these Vulcan Mountains. It was actually the main location for the Chapter 2 storyline, and as soon as Chapter 1's Fallen Count was cleared, it would open automatically. The system notified him, "You have entered the Vulcan Mountains." Notifications poured in. "You have earned the title, First to Set Foot in the Vulcan Mountains." All stats increased by 2 points. Occupation-related stats increased by 1 point. Jaehyun smiled with satisfaction. It seemed no one else knew about this yet. He turned back, ready to show off. "Let's get going, you skeletons." Jaehyun put a little power into his legs. "From this moment on, I am your master." Just as he was about to dash off, he was surrounded. They bared their teeth menacingly. "Welcome, level 60 wild boars, a monster type!" Extremely aggressive and usually travel in packs. And Jaehyun, currently Tuakan at level 41, looked at those absurd stats. He thought about his current level and this situation right now. They didn't give Jaehyun any time to adapt before pouncing. He cursed his rotten luck. Was it always this unlucky? Why did they have to be standing right at the map entrance? Of course, Jaehyun couldn't just stay on the defensive like that. Soon other players would figure out that the seal was broken. He couldn't waste any more time. In this situation, he had no other choice. He gritted his teeth and launched an attack. "I have to fight no matter what." The armored skeletons, those monsters weren't pushovers either. They let out a loud roar. Before his eyes, the skeletons were smashed to pieces. The notification refreshed, skeletons destroyed. Due to taking damage beyond his limits, Jaehyun tried to mitigate the force and come to a stop. Just one hit. He curled his lip. There was that confidence again. But Jaehyun played with the boars nonchalantly. To him, they were nothing but prey. Lethargic curse. He didn't even forget to walk over and lecture them. "You guys can't move for about 5 seconds. Jaehyun raised his hand and summoned a dagger. "Now then!" Man and dagger lunged forward. "You're going to pay for destroying my skeletons!" He just didn't expect there to be a banana peel on the path, causing him to slip. He fell flat on his face right in front of them, followed by the sight of the culprit. He clenched his fists, embarrassed, but feigned anger. "What the hell is this?" A monkey nearby couldn't help but mock him. It was a level 50 monkey, a monster that loved to provoke. Jaehyun stood up, his expression darkening. He shouted angrily, "You little brat! Get over here!" Just then, the system notification appeared. Lethargic curse effect has expired. The boars waited for exactly that moment to charge, catching Jaehyun off guard. Damn it, the curse wore off. A shimmering flash of light appeared out of thin air. In one shot, it sent it flying to the clouds. He was stunned, not understanding what was happening. What the hell was that guy still going for? Other arrows kept flying out, each wild boar taken down without being able to fight back. Jaehyun was dazed, still unable to snap out of it. He took down the whole herd of boars with just one strike. Very quickly, the person who had just struck jumped down to ask if he was hurt. A guess flashed through his mind. "Don't tell me this is..." A while later in the city of Suryu, the two were walking when they were attracted by something. "Hey, hey, look over there," one of them exclaimed in surprise, unable to hide his awe. "Isn't that the full Mamba set? You know that, right? That armor is worth an unimaginable amount." The person next to him, being enlightened, was also shocked. For real. He skeptically looked back. "Is that a ranked player? But I've never seen this guy before." Ano suddenly spoke up, not knowing who he was reporting to. "Has the identity of the informant been verified yet?" Very quickly there was an answer: Miko. The person on the other side, hidden in the shadows, replied, as if even the designated guilds knew nothing. Miko seemed to dissolve, blending into the air. Can't blame them. I mean, a person who knows the identity of the corrupted count and gives away information for free to the guilds, that's unheard of. How could I possibly find him? He asked about the problem he was curious about, the Hahu mask. Any traces of him? She leaned lower. Hahu mask, he only posts regular hunting videos. It seems to be the giant bear tactic, I think. Miko didn't notice the dark expression on the other person. Anyway, there's no way a rookie who just accepted a quest could be behind such a huge event. She lifted her hand. More importantly, which guild is supporting this operation? Ano didn't hesitate and replied, "The Purge Guild." Miko gritted her teeth, slightly annoyed. "Looks like everything is about to descend into chaos again." He walked away without looking back, but still replied, "I'll handle the support from the guilds myself, so focus on finding the culprit, Miko." Ano clenched his fists, seemingly hating that person deeply. No matter who they are, they will have to pay the price for disrupting the balance of this world. Even his killing intent leaked out a little. It has to be this way. Elsewhere, in a warm, wooden cabin nestled in the middle of a dangerous forest, Mong set down the items in his hands. "So you're a Himbre's disciple." Jaehyun was as happy as if he'd struck gold. "Yes, I'm so lucky." He smiled, looking incredibly sly. "An important NPC for the Chapter 2 main quest." Jaehyun looked at the other person, overjoyed he had finally met Mong. He didn't notice that smile, still chatting. "It's lucky that I met you while I was on patrol." Deep down, he had already recalled the information about this person. Mong used to be so strong he could teach swordsmanship to the prince, but he was demoted due to an unfortunate incident and was now just a scouting captain protecting the mountain region. "Vulcus?" Jaehyun slightly curled his lips. He was the key NPC for the progress of Chapter 2. He was truly lucky to meet him. Mong then spoke up, and, cutting off his train of thought, he said that Jaehyun should head back. Hearing that, Jaehyun seemed uncomfortable and replied, "I'm sorry." Mong picked up a glass of water and sat opposite him. He then said, "I don't know what brought you all the way out here, but there are only monsters in this place. You should go back to where you started before something worse happens." Jaehyun heard him say that. He just lowered his head in silence, not saying a word, as if he were deep in thought. After a while, Jaehyun spoke up. "The corrupted count is dead." Hearing this news, Mong immediately looked agitated and placed his hands on the table. Jaehyun, meanwhile, was thinking in his head, trying to act distant won't do any good. "I already know how to advance to Chapter 2. Jaehyun then frowned and told Mong, "But there are still corrupted monsters wandering everywhere. I was investigating the cause and ended up here. Do you know anything about this?" Mong heard this and was a bit startled. His expression couldn't hide the fact that he knew something. After a moment of thought, he frowned again, hesitating. "I have someone in mind, although I don't have proof yet. Do you think you can help me gather evidence?" When he said that, Jaehyun's face couldn't hide his excitement. The system immediately sent a notification to him. "You have obtained the title, the first to contact a Bunkus Ranger. You have obtained the title, the one who started it all. All stats increased by 14. Deep down, Jaehyun was incredibly happy, thinking that he had received 2 rare titles. He loved the main quest. Jaehyun couldn't help but lean toward Mong and enthusiastically said to him, "Of course I can try. Just leave it to me. What should I do first?" Seeing him lean in so close, Mong spoke up, making a request: "First, sit down." He then told Jaehyun, "Investigate the monsters near this area." The system immediately sent Jaehyun a card titled, "Request from Bunkus Ranger Mong, defeat monsters in the Bunkus Mountains 1 out of 50. Reward 500 gold Mong's trust." Scene change. Outside the house, the sky was very clear. Someone spoke, "Hunting monsters, huh?" It was Jaehyun. He had stepped out of Mong's house, hands in his pockets, enjoying the warm sunshine of the day. He said, "Fantastic. Besides, I need to upgrade my skills anyway." Jaehyun then brought his hand to his chin, thinking about the monsters in this forest. He muttered, I'll save the higher-level monsters like wild boars and bear warriors for later. Let's start with the easier stuff. Just then, Jae-hyun suddenly remembered something. As he looked up, the thought of what he had left immediately brought to mind the monkey that had been teasing him. Jae-hyun wore a look of pure excitement, cracking his knuckles as he muttered, "How am I going to pay that jerk back?" In a vast forest where the leaves had begun to turn golden, Jae-hyun tripped over a banana peel under a tree. A man wearing a knight's helmet also stumbled over another banana peel, and then a girl face-planted into the ground because of yet another one. The monkey laughed loudly, looking delighted at the sight. Suddenly it noticed someone slowly approaching. It grinned, showing its teeth, and reached for a banana peel. Just as it was about to throw it, Jae-hyun spoke up from behind. "Gotcha. Hey there, monkey, any last words?" Jae-hyun raised his weapon and swung it hard. The monkey leaped up nimbly, dodging every single strike. Jae-hyun, frustrated, delivered a powerful blow, but the monkey dodged that too. The monkey launched itself into the air. Then it darted forward like a flash. Jae-hyun chased after it, annoyed. "Are you serious right now? This thing is beyond annoying. It's too fast, and these trees are so thick I can't land a single hit." With that, Jae-hyun stopped in his tracks, raised his knife, and aimed. He hurled it in a straight line, and the monkey couldn't help but panic. Turning back to see the knife, it immediately skidded to a halt, dodging to the side in a frenzy. The knife whizzed right past it. A moment later, the monkey slowly opened its eyes to check the situation. It excitedly realized it was perfectly fine. Suddenly, Jae-hyun calmly said, "That blade was just a fake." "Dummy!" Using his copy skill, a giant robot suddenly appeared behind him and attacked the monkey. A blast of blue magic soared toward it, and a moment later the white smoke began to clear. The system notification appeared, "You are the first to defeat the armored monkey." Jae-hyun muttered, "Finally done. The armored monkey hunt has officially begun." The scene shifts elsewhere. Dozens of robots were constantly snapping photos. Over here, look this way, and over here too. Lord Matador. From the Red Bull Guild, along with Lady Sally from the Bug Hunter Guild. "Congratulations on being the first to defeat the final boss." An interviewer suddenly asked the Lightning Queen, "What would you like to say about this victory?" Selion replied, "I think we just got lucky. However, I will work even harder to achieve better results." A moment later, Selion's face showed annoyance as she entered the hallway. Hahui was rambling excitedly. "Lightning Queen Chelly, you're so impressive. Honestly, when the final boss swarmed us, I thought I was a goner. But you charged right in and took down the Howling Lord," Kellyanne replied. "It was just luck. If we hadn't teamed up with the Red Bulls, we probably would have lost that raid." She squinted, thinking, "To win decisively, I need someone like him." Jaehyun's image flashed through her mind. "Hahui, contact Hachi." Hahui was surprised. "What that idiot, why?" Selion calmly replied, "I've found a new target." The scene shifts. The blade in Jaehyun's hand suddenly shattered. The system displayed equipment durability at 0, and it vanished. He muttered, "Damn it, that's broken. Guess it's time for an upgrade. The only problem is I'm flat broke. Guess I'll have to go farm some gems." Monster gems are rare items dropped by monsters used for crafting. Each gem has its own stats. The Green Goblin gem adds 1 point to agility. The Werewolf gem adds 2 points to attack. They reflect the monster's traits. If I recall correctly, the Armored Monkey gems have pretty good stats, perfect for crafting gear. All right, from this moment on, I'm going to hunt these monkeys until they're extinct. 9 hours later, Jaehyun realized with disappointment that he had gotten nothing. "I took down a whole pile of them, and not a single gem. I'm sure I just need to take down a few more." "Yeah, just one more." Suddenly, Kyoti's voice rang out. "Hey, you're that masked to a can, aren't you?" Jaehyun immediately became alert. "Who's there?" He was wearing a full Fire Lizard set and holding the hero's sword. He had to be at least level 70. "Don't tell me he's one of those guys." Coyote slowly introduced himself. "The name's Coyote." "So," he started showing off, "I'm here to challenge you, masked to a can. You're the hottest thing on YouTube right now. If I beat you, I'll be a star by tonight." Jaehyun immediately turned his back. "Just another clout chaser. I'm busy. Get lost." Coyote hurriedly blocked his path. "Wait," Jaehyun thought to himself. "Great. Farming for gems has been stressful enough already. And now I have to deal with this lunatic." Coyote begged, "I'm begging you, please. If you fight me, I'll pay you 5,000 gold." Jaehyun thought to himself, "Good grief, these show-offs. You immediately turned around. It would be my absolute pleasure to serve a VIP like you, sir." He starts off with his cringy self-promotion. "I am Coyote, the champion of justice. With talent like mine, everyone is always saying, Thank you, Coyote. No matter what game he plays, I'm still the man. People are always like, we're obsessed with you, Coyote. That's me, Coyote. He pointed his index finger to the sky, desperate for attention. But in ads, nobody cares about him. He introduces himself, I'm Coyote. And a cold, uninterested voice cuts in, Masked Akan delivers an insane combo. Coyote tries again. Hello everyone, you know who I am. Still nobody pays attention. I subscribed to your channel the second I saw the video. They were, of course, talking about Masked Akan. They were even happily announcing to each other, Masked Akan just dropped a new clip. Coyote felt like his whole world was collapsing. That bastard Masked Akan. I finally started getting some attention, and he shows up to steal the spotlight. Why is everyone so obsessed with him? His level is lower, his gear is trash. Wait, where the hell am I right now? Boiling with rage, he sprinted off without looking. He saw Jae-hyun smiling, looking smug. Hold on, is that Masked Akan? Is he farming in this area? But this whole zone is supposed to be locked down. Wait a second. If I record myself beating him into the ground, all his fans will switch to me. Back in the present, he screamed, so Masked Akan. I challenge you to a duel. If I win, I'll give you 5,000 gold. Jae-hyun yelled back. What the hell are you doing, man? Are you crazy? Why are you taking your armor off in the middle of a fight? Coyote replied, obviously I'm doing this to ensure a fair fight. I heard your weapon is broken. I don't want anyone saying I only won because of better gear. I want a true one-on-one duel without the crowd complaining. Give me everything you've got. Masked Akan. Jae-hyun sighed. Oh my god. How am I supposed to take him seriously when he's just standing there in his underwear? Coyote immediately lunged forward. That's enough talk. Come on. He threw a punch, but Jae-hyun dodged quickly. For crying out loud, just listen to me. And then, he kept leaning to dodge the incoming attacks. Coyote roared, stop dodging and fight me for real. Jae-hyun retorted, how can you expect me to fight back when you're dressed like that in your boxers? Coyote was furious. He muttered, skill explosion. A red aura engulfed his hands, and with a sudden burst of power, he lunged forward. Jae-hyun was stunned by this bizarre attack. He immediately covered his head with his arms, letting the force of the blow throw him backward. A loud thud echoed as he hit the ground. What the hell? An explosion skill! That's a warrior's speed boost skill, isn't it? He's an idiot, sure, but he clearly has a higher level than me. In a test of pure strength, I'm definitely at a disadvantage. As Jae-hyun slowly stood up, Coyote spoke. Finally, you're getting serious, Masked. I can great. Now come at me with everything you've got. And once I take you down while you're at your peak, everyone will know who the real strongest is. He flew toward Jae-hyun, shouting, Explosion! And swung his fist. Suddenly, Jae-hyun lashed out with his hand, catching Coyote off guard and sending him stumbling backward. What earth tremor? Jae-hyun lunged, shoving Coyote away. If I can't win with strength, I'll win with technique. He kicked Coyote hard in the head and then punched him square in the face. Coyote's body flew back and slammed into a tree. That's what you call a technique. That's dirty pool, Jae-hyun replied. Dirty? Are you kidding? In a life-or-death battle, there's no such thing as dirty. And that's exactly why you lose. You care more about your reputation than the fight. System skill, skin stitching activated. Item used leather armor fusion. Your body is empowered by the essence of steel leather. Defense increased by 7. Coyote panicked at the attack Jae-hyun was preparing. Wait, that punch? One hit of that and my HP is gone. Jae-hyun said, you're the one who started this, so deal with the consequences. Coyote frantically tried to stop him. Wait! Hold on! He wailed. I surrender! A blast of purple light erupted, swallowing the space around them. Coyote felt a surge of anxiety as the purple smoke began to clear. He realized the attack had carved a deep, endless path behind him. Coyote thought, oh my god, that was terrifying. I almost forgot this was just a game. Jae-hyun called out, well, I won right. Now hand over the 5,000 gold. I bet you don't want to get your account locked for 2 days, do you? Coyote said, trembling. This is amazing, he suddenly exclaimed with excitement. You're seriously so strong. Coyote then took off his helmet. He looked at Jae-hyun with such joy and admiration, saying, you're amazing, so strong. Seeing his attitude shift like that, Jae-hyun was caught off guard. He instinctively raised his hands to cover himself, blushing as he blurted out, what the? Jae-hyun wondered to himself, what the hell is wrong with this guy? Coyote pulled out a bag of gold coins, held it out toward Jae-hyun, and introduced himself. I'm Coyote. I admitted I lost fair and square. Here is the 5,000 gold I promised. Then, He even proudly held up his sword to show Jaehyun. "And this is my sword." It was a masterfully crafted blade gleaming brightly right in front of Jaehyun. It was enough to leave him stunned. As Jaehyun held the sword, his body trembled slightly with excitement. He spoke up, "This is the hero's sword, isn't it?" Jaehyun looked at the shimmering blade in his hands. He was clearly impressed, and he could even see the specific stats it granted: 66 attack power, 66 stamina, and 9% armor penetration. This thing is worth at least 15,000 gold at an auction. "But why are you giving this to me?" As soon as he finished speaking, Jaehyun clapped a hand over his mouth, looking stunned, even though deep down he loved the sword. But he put on an indifferent facade and asked, "Why would you give me such a rare item?" Kyoto just smirked and replied, "Consider it a token of my gratitude." He then shared with Jaehyun that for the longest time, "I was blinded by this pursuit of fame. I neglected real training to become truly strong. You helped me realize that." Kyoto suddenly put his hands on his hips and continued, "Please take it. You are truly someone worthy of being my brother." He stood under the brilliant sun, declaring it loud and clear. Hearing Kyoto's story, Jaehyun was lost in thought, wondering why this guy would really gift him the sword. Jaehyun gave a faint, crooked smile. "This guy seems like a total idiot," he thought, "but I guess he's got a pretty cool personality." No sooner had he thought that than Jaehyun kicked Coyote straight in the crotch, since the guy was only wearing shorts to the duel, and said, "Did you really think I'd say that? Worthy my ass, get lost," caught completely off guard. Coyote took the kick head-on. He let out a pained shriek, his eyes nearly popping out, and fell backward, losing his balance and landing hard on the ground. Jaehyun then commanded his skeleton soldiers, "Skeletons, get him!" The soldiers swarmed around Coyote, whose face turned pale with terror. Right after that, the forest echoed with nothing but miserable screams. After the skeletons beat him until his face was bruised and swollen, Coyote shouted out, "My full name is John Coyote. I will return when I am worthy of being your brother." He was tied to a tree, but he remained stubborn. "I look forward to the day we meet again, little brother." Ignoring his words, Jaehyun led the skeletons away. He grumbled, annoyed, "Crazy bastard." Jaehyun then broke into a smile, though it seemed like he was actually enjoying this little game. "That actually sounds kind of fun." The skeletons heard his mutterings. Jaehyun held up the sword Kyoto had given him and laughed, saying, "Well, at least I got a damn good sword out of it. No more hunting armored monkeys for me." Jaehyun immediately thought of the forest monsters, whispering to himself, "That should be enough to start the next mission." With that in mind, Jaehyun turned back to look at his skeleton soldiers with a cunning grin. "Maybe I should hunt another 100 armored monkeys. I have a feeling it's going to be a real blast." But when the skeletons heard that, they clearly didn't share his enthusiasm. All 4 skeletons immediately blocked Jaehyun, refusing to let him leave. Seeing them act like that, Jaehyun said, "Let me go. I really think I can do it. I can feel it." Gambling addiction is a sickness. After receiving Coyote's sword, the system displayed the item's information. Hero's sword rare. Attack plus 66 stamina plus 66 ignores 9% of monster defense. As he picked up the skill cards, he let out a sigh. "Oh man. 950 armored monkeys, 104 armored wolves, and 76 poisonous lizards, huh? Nice work. Your contribution has made our investigation go smoothly, but why the weird look on your face?" Jaehyun scratched his head and replied, Sorry about that. I was just thinking about how to spend the money I just made. You know, responsibly." "Listen closely," he interrupted. "The next mission will be extremely dangerous. It's near the top of this mountain. We've spotted a fierce 4-meter-tall bear warrior. Even worse, they're equipped like professional soldiers. If we can trace the origin of its gear, we might just find a lead on the fallen." Jaehyun speaks up, cutting to the chase. "So you want me to take down that bear and bring back its loot? Got it?" She looks a bit worried. "Are you going to be okay on your own? Even veteran hunters have to tread carefully around that thing. You really should find a party," she suggests. Jaehyun cuts her off. "Not necessary. I've already figured out a way to handle it." Scene change. Jaehyun points to the bear warrior on a map. "It's got to be around here." "Almost there. Time to burn some cash." System. "You have activated the auction house. Player-to-player trading is now enabled." Jaehyun scans the weapons on the blue screen. The best gear he can afford at his current level is... System, you have acquired the Serpent Skull set. You have acquired the Serpent Head Pauldrons, Greaves, Gauntlets, Belt, and the Skeletal set. Defense up 70. Magic power up 34. Stamina up 34. Set effect reduces mana consumption by 10%. He's spent 37,896 gold. Jae-hyun can't help but smile in satisfaction. Now this is what it feels like to have money. With the remaining balance, I'll clear out all the level-appropriate skill books. System. You have acquired skill books, corrosive soul blindness, muscle boost, fake heart bone bomb, and sacrifice. He spent 17,593 gold. Jae-hyun cheers, awesome! The level gap between me and the bear is still there, but dumping all this money into these items should make it manageable right away. The skeletons look at him with expectant eyes. Jae-hyun speaks up. Oh right, almost forgot about you guys, let's see. With this setup for the skeleton crew, it's not enough money. What is this? Why is it not working? Is all my money gone? Seriously? Hey, you guys seems like we're a little short. The skeletons immediately look indifferent. Jae-hyun thinks to himself, they're rebelling. Wait, hear me out. It's not like I did this on purpose. As soon as I make more money, I'll... Suddenly, a group of wild boars trots by. Jae-hyun yells, over there, those monsters, if we take them down, that might be enough gold. It's lucky a pack of wild boars happened to pass by. I don't know what's wrong with them, but they're obsessed with new gear. Scene change to a little while later. The last boar looks adorable, trying to earn their pity. Even so, the skeletons keep staring at it with cold, dead eyes. Jae-hyun speaks up. Hey, stop messing around. Stop. Finish it quickly. I'll upgrade your gear after we get going, I promise. Suddenly, a red bolt of light streaks in, taking out the boar. Jae-hyun turns around, surprised. What is it this time? A man's voice calls out, Hey! Who gave a hunter permission to operate here? This area belongs to the Apollo Guild. Do you have a death wish? Jae-hyun thinks great more lowlifes. They arrogantly introduce themselves. We are the glorious mighty brothers from the Apollo Guild, Young-gi, Ye-gi, and Gi-ji. Jae-hyun smiles, looking amused. Understood. He lunges forward, slashing all three of them down in an instant. Ugh, these brats are such a waste of time. How do pathetic losers like you keep showing up everywhere? Maybe my luck is just bad all around. This is taking too long. Let's go. One of them struggles to press a button on his watch. How dare you? You'll regret messing with our guild. Scene change. A tiger appears on a screen and a voice echoes. What he dared to touch my men after hearing my name. The young man bows his head. Yes, sir. The Guildmaster Apollo orders, bring him to me no matter what. No one insults my name and walks away in one piece. I'll make him pay a heavy price. Scene change. Jae-hyun looks around in surprise. We're here. This is the Bear Warriors' spawn area. Let's get this started. Skeleton crew, are you ready? The skeletons are striking super cool poses. Jae-hyun is bewildered. What the hell is this? When it's time to joke, but when it's time to be serious, act like it. You guys know that, right? Today we're taking down a bear warrior. It's a level 70 monster with 3 combat phases. I'm warning you, it won't be easy, but if we win, it'll put us way ahead of the 30 major guilds in the main quest line, so don't you dare ruin the plan. Got it. The skeletons signal their obedience. Jae-hyun sighs. Just stick to the plan. Speak of the devil. A giant bear lumbers up behind them. Bear warrior level 70. Jae-hyun says happily, all right, let's go. He activates his gear and his outfit changes instantly. Jae-hyun declares, this main quest is mine. Scene change. A voice speaks up. So that's Vulcan Mountain. Hichi looks around. Please let Masked Man 2 be there. He walks for a moment before suddenly stopping. What the hell am I doing here, dragging myself to this godforsaken place? I'm worth way more than being sent to pick up some rookie. And if he refuses to come, I have to force him. What is this kidnapping? Suddenly a boar charges at him. Wild Boar King, level 65. Hichi glances over as he hears its defiant roar. He creates a magic circle and flames erupt, incinerating the boar. Hichi continues moving forward to find the guy muttering tiredly, I really want to quit. Scene change. The giant bear roars ferociously. Jae-hyun thinks to himself, in my past life when our guild hunted this thing, we had to fight it 6 times to win. If that happens again, someone else is going to beat me to this crucial quest. To effectively damage a warbear, I need to aim for the joints between its armor plating and wooden frame. I can do this. That's why I'm learning a new skill. The bear is charging closer to you. Jae-hyun shouted, Skeleton Army, listen up, don't scatter, time to use my new passive skill, Muscle Enhancement. Moving in, Jae-hyun excitedly leaped into midair, but then he suddenly realized he'd overshot his jump. What is this? Wait! Stop! But the skeletons and the bear just stared at him blankly for a second. Then the bear swung hard at the skeleton army. Your skeleton soldiers took maximum damage and disintegrated. Jaehyun yelled, "Block it, you useless piles of bone." Muscle gain leg strength increased for faster and more powerful movement. Seriously, everything has its limits in this trash game. Forget it. I'll still use this momentum for a finishing blow. Jaehyun was startled to realize his own body had just slammed into the bear's head. The bear was also left stunned to see him in such a predicament. Jaehyun closed his eyes and laughed helplessly. So weak. Forget this stupid skill. His body was immediately sent flying by the bear. Jaehyun thought to himself, too strong, I can't control it. At least I broke some of its armor, but what now? With a skill as weak as this, I can't land a critical hit. Jaehyun quickly rolled to the side to dodge. He leaped into midair and muttered, then bone orb, magic detonation. A purple explosion erupted throughout the forest. As the smoke cleared, the bear charged again. Jaehyun thought, this thing really is a powerhouse. All right then, forget the head-on strategy. System notification. You have resurrected the skeleton army with magic. Jaehyun said, time to fight like a death mage. He roared to reassure the skeletons who were looking at him with skepticism. Listen, I'm serious now. That was just a fluke. Jaehyun jumped to another spot. Golem, your turn. A giant golem rose from the ground and immediately lunged at the brown bear. The bear instantly destroyed the golem with one hit. Jaehyun grinned. The plan was going exactly as intended. There, Harden, solidify the golem's body. The sword will get stuck there temporarily. He ordered the skeleton army to charge. They rushed toward the giant bear, and then all the intact skeleton soldiers stood behind the beast. The bear turned and roared. Jaehyun shouted, don't get mad, I've still got another big one, don't let your guard down. A flame erupted around the space they were standing in. A moment later, the flames faded, revealing two silhouettes. Jaehyun roared at the skeletons, wait for me to finish before you fire. Are you trying to kill me? The bear roared. The war bear used battle cry, recovering 50% of its health. It immediately rushed toward Jaehyun, preparing to strike. Jaehyun turned his head instantly. You're trying to ruin the battle plan. In his hands were a bunch of skull bombs. Whoever is faster wins. A stream of purple light overwhelmed the surrounding space. The skeleton army watched the battle between Jaehyun and the bear in tension. They were speechless, seeing Jaehyun laughing manically while throwing purple bombs at the bear. Scene transition. A few minutes later, system notification. You have defeated the war bear. You have received experience. You have received 101,354 gold. You have completed the Mom's Challenge quest. Jaehyun thought. In my past life, it took an entire party to bring it down. And now, I took it down alone. I'm not dreaming. You guys did well. Get back to report and then do the next mission. Quest, Hunt the War Bear, complete. Jaehyun roared when he saw the skeletons whispering among themselves. Shut up, if you fought like that, you would have died 6 times already. Scene transition. A pub near the west of Vunkus. Hichi was sitting sadly in a corner of the pub. He sighed with extreme frustration. I'm out of options. No sign of Mask 2. None at all. I've been scouring the mountains for days. And that video of his is attracting people like ants. Searching for him is like looking for a needle in a haystack. If I come back empty-handed, Miss Sally will kill me. But why did she make me search the whole mountain alone? I hope this toxic guild dissolves soon. Suddenly, a screen popped up, an incoming call from Sally. Hichi felt his soul leave his body. Miss Sally, it's not what you think. I didn't mean to. Sallyan suddenly spoke. Thank you, you've worked hard. Hichi was stunned by her words. Sallyan continued. Thinking about it now, maybe I pushed you too hard. Searching the whole mountain alone. Even for you, that must be exhausting, right? Hichi teared up, touched. I don't mind it at all, really. So, Sallyan cut him off. That means I can return. I've sent Howie to your location immediately. Hichi noticed something just rushed over and broke through the wall, or to be precise, a piece of the wall just shattered, leaving a hole. Sallyan's voice rang out, the two of you find him together. Howie slowly stood up. Hichi, you idiot, it's all your fault that I'm stuck out here now. Lightning Princess Howie of the Lightning Hunters Guild, nicknamed Mad Dog, hated Hichi. Hichi smiled slightly with a frozen expression. Damn it. Jaehyun said Vunkus is crowded right now. It's even turned into a small town. Maybe most players have realized this is where the important mission takes place. I have to get back there quickly. He quickly jumped through the tree branches. Suddenly, the image of 3 thugs appeared in his eyes. Jaehyun looked at them in surprise. Those guys, their outfits are just like those hooligans. From last time, they're trying to come back for revenge, huh? Oh my God. Again, just to get straight to the point. Will you stop beating around the bush? Don't waste our time. But the 3 of them looked behind. Please, spare us. Jaehyun didn't understand what was going on. What is this? I didn't do anything. A flash of light shot forward and the 3 people were instantly attacked. Jaehyun was startled and turned around. What? Haehyun spoke up. Begging for your life, are you? What a coward. That was Haehyun, and Heechee was approaching too. Jaehyun recognized them. They were members of the Bug Hunters. Suddenly, Haehyun raised his sword toward Jaehyun. You're masked too, a can, aren't you? Jaehyun thought to himself, among the Bug Hunters, she's ranked 2nd. Ha-Hui nicknamed the Electric Princess, or Mad Dog. She does whatever she's told. She wouldn't even be afraid to go to hell. Truly a fanatic. And over there, in the Bug Hunters, he's ranked 3rd. Heechee nicknamed Ballista. Once he locks on to someone, he never misses. A genius mage. Meeting these 2 in my past life was like a nightmare. And now I'm running into them right here. They must be looking for masked to a can. They're probably trying to recruit me. If I wanted to deal with them, I'd be happy to. But the current situation makes that impossible. So Jaehyun immediately jumped down. Masked to a can. Who's that? Never heard of him. Just deny it to the end. Where's the proof? What can I even do now? Ha-Hui lunged at him instantly. Stop lying. Is there anyone around Vunkus Mountain who doesn't know about masked Tuacan? Tuacan, your clip views have broken through 20 million already. You're extremely suspicious. Looking closer, that cloak also looks familiar. Are you sure you're not him? Jaehyun thought to himself, and Heechee hurriedly interrupted. That's enough. Now is not the time to talk about that. The issue we need to discuss here is the inn you destroyed. The people you killed just because they looked suspicious. How do you intend to fix that mess? Everyone knows which guild we belong to. How are we supposed to cover this up? Apologize now, before you ruin our reputation any further. What did you say? Ha-Hui roared. Why should I apologize? Jaehyun thought, are they always like this? How unsightly. Ha-Hui muttered, fine, I'm sorry, okay? Are you satisfied now? Heechee shouted, what kind of half-hearted apology is that? We're sorry, okay? Just enjoy the moment while you can. Jaehyun thought to himself, at least one pile of trouble is dealt with. Suddenly he was startled as he sensed something rushing toward him. Huh! Ha-Hui had just thrown a powerful punch right into the center of his face. This sent Jaehyun flying far away. Heechee yelled, why are you hitting people again? Are you trying to live up to the Mad Dog nickname for real? Ha-Hui muttered, I thought he'd dodge it. Jaehyun suddenly spoke up, you dare hit an innocent person? I've had enough. I'm going to report the Bug Hunters for organized violence. First things first, I'm posting this on the forum. Bug Hunters, a toxic guild that bullies beginners. Heechee hurriedly said, I'm sorry, I'll compensate you. Please don't post it. John looked at the bag full of gold coins in his hand. 1,053 gold coins, huh? Fine, I'll let this slide. Heechee bowed his head. Yes, thank you so much. Let's go. Playing like this, I'm going to have a stroke early. Ha-Hui roared. I know I'm going. Jaehyun thought, what a hassle, but this is the only way for now. If I make another mistake, I'll regret it. Just need to push a little more. Scene change. Heechee grumbled, why do you always have to pick a fight? Don't you know that big guilds live and die by their public image? Ha-Hui replied, normally when people see a punch coming, they dodge it. Heechee scolded, are you blaming the victim for not dodging your punch? She replied, that's not what I meant. That guy, at that moment, he clearly looked like he was fuming. Ha-Hui recalled the look on Jaehyun's face when she lunged at him. That's clearly super suspicious. Heechee moaned, please just act like a decent person for once. Ha-Hui cut him off. Shut your mouth, you useless trash, and don't you dare give me orders. Heechee groaned. Oh my God, this guild is going to be the death of me. I'm going to age 10 years. Scene transition. A bear in full plate armor, fighting like a knight, that armored bear warrior. Something big is definitely going down here. Thanks. If it wasn't for you, a lot more people would have died. Are you okay? Jaehyun was trembling, thinking I need to get out of here fast. The level 30 guild members are about to catch up to us. Mon held out a box and said, by the way, take your pick. Any of these are fine. Jaehyun spoke up. Wait, aren't these? Mon replied, I drew these maps while traveling all over Vunkus Mountain, marking every monster den I've been to. Jaehyun's eyes instantly lit up. In other words, this was a treasure map. A dungeon packed with rare items and high-end gear. Mon suddenly brushed his hand away, but before he took it back, "I need a favor," Mon said. Jaehyun thought to himself, "Of course, there's always a catch. There's always some condition attached, isn't there?" Mon continued. "Word is that armored monsters have started appearing on the other side of Vulcus Mountain. Go check it out, just like last time." Jaehyun replied, "Understood, boss. Specifically, where are we talking about? Answer me, the Parium Forest. Is something wrong?" Jaehyun replied with a weary look, "No, it's nothing." A moment later, Jaehyun sighed. "Oh, for heaven's sake. Parium Forest is a level 90 hunting ground. I'll have to try and power level on the way there. What a pain. The only viable path is probably Shrara Canyon, where those level 75 goat demons spawn. I already managed to take down the armored bear, right? A single goat demon shouldn't be a threat. Just focus on leveling up fast. But wait, why is he here?" Matador said excitedly.
Well, look who it is! It's you, Matador! Scene transition.
Hachi was crying on screen. "Lady Sally, I can't keep going with this crazy girl anymore." Hahui roared. "What did you just say?" Celion replied. "Hahui, Hahui. You two seem to be having a really hard time." Hachi complained. "It's not that I don't want to support you, I really don't, but I heard the Chainflow Guild has completely taken over Shrara Canyon. Maybe I should just focus on the main quest. Lady Sally, why bother chasing after someone who clearly doesn't want to be involved with our guild?" Celion thought for a moment and replied, "Forget about hunting Mask 2 AK. The Glitch Hunter will be joining the main mission directly." Hichi excitedly replied, "I knew I could count on you, Lady Sally." Celion didn't say another word as the screen slowly faded away. She quickly sprawled out on her chair, pondering for a moment. The strong always attract the strong. Let's see how much longer you can keep hiding Mask 2 AK. Scene transition. Jaehyun's face now showed a hint of panic. The skeleton soldiers also looked bored that they weren't getting any screen time.